What's up guys, DukeSloth here, and today we're taking a first look at the new patch notes for patch 5.13, the mid-season patch. I will do the review afterwards for those of you who would rather see that. Just making sure that you know about that beforehand. This is gonna be the live viewing. And this patch is probably gonna be very big. I should also put on my headphones so you don't have doubled audio. Let's check that. This should be a little better. So as usual, Hyris likes to crank up the music and lower it during the patch notes, like the volume between the different people talking, so we try to adjust for that.
Welcome in everybody, it's finally here. It's the mid-season patch notes, and trust me, it's gonna be awesome. My packet is like really thick this time. We got a lot of stuff stored.
My packet is thick, go ahead.
Already off to a roaring start here on the mid-season patch. Got a lot of different, Project Olympus updates you guys have been asking for. An absolute ton of god balance, new items, item balance, and some of the best skins we've released in a while, and that's saying a lot. And let's start there, shall we? The first one that you guys are going to get a chance to see, Plushie Ganesh.
Oh, it's actually a plushie skin.
Are you serious? Are you serious? This is part of the fall season ticket bundle. As if the season ticket wasn't good enough, now you can get the fall season ticket and this Plushie Ganesh skin.
That's pretty cool.
Give me a break. This is insane.
It reminds me of the Makoa from Paladins.
I know. Just unbelievable. All right, next skin. You already got a bit of a preview.
So Ganesh and Ares got great skins and they're both rank 45.
Part of the Divine Uprising event. You'll get this is part of the Voodoo portion. You're going to want to get all of these Voodoo chests, skins.
I like the CERN skin. That's cool.
The Somdi skin that you get whenever it's completed. You're going to see that in just a minute. It's really good. I mean, you already can kind of see it in the in-game UI, I suppose. But it's really good. Trust me. Hellscape Chronos. Next up, Nightbane Jingwei. This also part.
Oh, so it's like a Diablo vibe.
Event. This Jingwei looks like her job is to slay the
actually
heck out of that
Hellgate London vibe.
Kind of a
almost
really cool, darker version of Jingwei. Normally very
nice,
bright and bubbly. Here she's got her hood up, and that means business for her. That's a really cool skin. Cherry Bomb Soul is next up. This is a season ticket reward. Ooh. This one looking really cool. Kind of a skater. Cherry Bomb Soul. I'm excited about this skin.
It's a bit too close to the bubblegum to me, but
I'm actually excited about this skin.
I said that before I saw anything
yeah.
Put that evil on me.
Okay.
Cherry Bomb Soul is part of that season ticket.
But it's cool that she's like humanoid.
Cerberus. If you thought we were done with the cute skins this patch.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down. That is actually really cute. That is actually, oh my god, that is the goodest boy in Smite. If you use the like, what is it? The taunt emote? No, it's a clap emote.
Using up all of your originality off the bat.
Alright, okay. You cannot hate getting killed by the Serp skin.
Look, it's the Hindu man one. You think that head's a savage?
That was really funny.
Yeah, I think he is. Geek Beak Thoth.
Alright, this is a Flarewood skin.
Yep, Anna did a lot of stuff for this. She's been doing a lot of kind of cool Smite gods and this sort of style, and now we're playing one in the game. Yeah, two bow tie skins. Come on, what is this? Geek Peak Thoth. Ooh, look at the little bricks. I'm really excited to see.
This is actually pretty cool. I dig the skins this patch.
The hipster aesthetic, you know. This.
I guess I don't dig the hipster idea, but the fact that he's like wearing like clothes and stuff.
Today, Half-Life Baron Somdi. This is your reward for finishing the Voodoo portion of the Divine Uprising event. You've already seen the card art, but
two snake heads.
Those effects look good. Baron has
always
been
has
in
two
your
snake
games
heads?
everywhere. I'm sure of that. At least he's been in all of mine, and at least he'll beat you up in style now. You know, it could be worse.
I think it's cool, you know, also like the modern times thing. But I may actually like his default skins better.
Those are all the skins.
Because they're so stylish.
Literally just scratching the surface of what we've got during this mid-season patch update. So let's just get right into it then. I'm joined here on the casual set by the peanut gallery of Hindu Man over in the corner there, but also design extraordinaires AJ and Pon. Guys, I'm not even going to ask you how you're feeling because we got to move.
Let's do it. Let's get started.
We got to get moving.
So
really
much things to talk about.
Oh, wait.
Just want to confirm the air conditioning is on for this mid-season patch.
Oh, that was, that'll be
Shout outs to a year ago in Valencia.
Ooh, we survived.
I wish we had air conditioning right now because this is going to be hot in here.
We're much more comfortable here. Not only air conditioning, but couches and the like. So let's get into it. Project Olympus is where we're going to start. we got a new commendation system coming into Smite.
Yeah, so we actually have some really cool things coming in. Project Olympus, making the game a little bit better for everyone. The commendation system. So we've amped up really recently on banning people who have been reported, making sure that we keep the gameplay nice and smooth and positive. But we also haven't really done anything before where we really promoted positivity. So commendation is a way to do that. So at the end of your match lobby, players will be able to actually vote on everyone else, either if they were a guide, if they had good teamwork, if they were just friendly in general, and give them points. And those points can actually be converted into rewards as you progress through the month, and every month that will reset. So it's just a nice way to be like, hey, you were really friendly this game. I liked you. Gonna give you some points so you can get maybe a chest or a team skin booster or a godlike chest at the max reward.
So instead of the, hey, we're gonna ban you if you're mean, which we'll still do, don't get me wrong. But it's more of like a, hey, be nice and you get rewards now for it. It seems like here I'm also reading that you can also just gain some of these points by playing with 100% goodwill.
Yes, so we also have some goodwill reworks going in because that's already kind of one of our existing systems that promotes positivity. It will contribute towards those points. So if you're at 100%, you actually get that, and then we have some goodwill reworks coming in later down on this show flow.
Interesting.
So you get, can you just give us a little bit of a preview of what you could get from being a good player?
So one thing you can get from being a good player is the team skin boosters at 300 points. You can get the Champions chest, which is the Triumphant chest that is one of the higher tier ones at 450. And at 600, you just get an extra godlike chest, which has a really high chance to give you really cool skin or a lot of cool content inside of it. As well as we also have yearly rewards coming up. So not only do we have the monthly commendation system rewards, but if you remain unbanned for the entirety of Season 5, we're going to be tracking that starting at 513. So people who maybe weren't so good at the year start of the season get a little bit of a break. This is now your chance. If you get all the way through the whole year, you will actually be able to get a whole bunch of additional content, and that's like, we have a skin coming out for you that's only exclusive through this. We have a loading frame, we have a jump stamp, we have a chibi avatar, and we have a global emote that are entirely generated through the yearly reward system. That's
really cool. You're taking a look right now on your screen about the commendation that you can get. Nice little new post-game screen here.
Yeah, so it's a new post-game screen.
Wait, I don't get it.
10 seconds, or if you vote, you can just kind of go through it. It'll show people like their loading frames, who they were, a little nice thing about them, so like top kills, least damage taken, most gold, and then when you hover over them, you're able to select if they were teamwork, a guide, or friendly.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's like Overwatch kind of.
You can vote on to give them positive reviews?
No, you can vote for your whole team. The only limit is you can only we track who you vote for every day, so you can only vote for a person once a day.
That's what I'm checking.
Yes.
Right.
I'm checking abuse cases.
No party up hacks. No party up hacks.
Yeah,
you gotta play with new people and keep getting commended by new people.
So you're gonna turn them up a little bit here.
Just 5-man queue and vote for your friends over and over again.
Yeah, this person was really nice, even though they were yelling at me all the time, and in our voice comms, you know what I mean? A little bit different there. I was looking at you, but yeah, Chapo.
And we gave
We gave a shout out to this, but this is replacing FP tipping, really. So FP tipping is gone. This is what's going to be here. It's a whole new set of rewards, different stuff, and so it's a lot more robust system. Like, we're worrying about the break cases, and we're giving people long-term and short-term goals, and it just breaks up the match lobby a little bit. So like when you're heated from the match, you get this extra screen. You get to kind of think about how things went instead of rushing right to chat.
I like that.
Even just subtle things like that can really impact players' behavior. And we just want everyone to be nice, just try to be a little nicer to each other.
And you said that the yearly rewards includes like an exclusive skin and that kind of stuff. So if that person selects that god and is like, yo, where's your nice person skin? They're like, I don't have it. You're like, oh boy.
Can we get bad person skin out? Is that allowed? No,
that's encouraging poor behavior.
Of course not.
Hindu man, come on.
Worth a try.
Yeah, fair enough.
You get a very exclusive skin, but you can't use your account. It's a win.
You get a vacation from Smite is your reward.
Yeah,
a 7-day vacation.
Right, exactly.
If you're bad.
So we also, reporting and that kind of stuff will still obviously be a big part of trying to police the player base. What kind of changes do we have there?
So one of the big things we have changing there is we actually have a whole bunch of backend tracking that we have now implemented into the game. So we can actually monitor what players are doing throughout the whole game. And why this is not obviously perfect, right? Because we're not in the game, we can't see exactly what's going on.
Sure.
A lot of these metrics are able to kind of give us a good idea of who might be maybe intentionally feeding or leaving the game and AFKing, or just be negative as a whole. And so we can actually be like, hey, this person we think might have been bad. Do you want to report them and make sure that this gets tracked? So we actually have new player prompt reporting. So if we detect someone might have been doing something bad, we'll kind of highlight them and be like, hey, this person might have been bad. You might want to report them. And that really gives us the extra tools for the support team to really start tackling these people. Because the biggest impact we have to actually ban players is the more and more reports they get. It becomes easier to track them, easier to see their big case of where they need to be banned or what behavior they were doing. So it just speeds everything up.
Right, and even though we're focusing more on the positive and trying to encourage you to be good, we are cracking down a little bit, it feels like, on those players who are being bad.
We are. So, the biggest flaw with the report system is players don't use it all the time. Like we get tweets and posts about like this player was terrible, and we go check the history they were, and they've only been reported a few times. People just don't use the feature enough. So we're adding this thing to help remind you about it, but only in cases where we think it's merited or it might be. And of course, we're using the stats to track this, so it might be wrong sometimes too. So if you get prompted, you sure don't need to use it.
Sure.
It's a subtle reminder. And we're also trying to we're doing more support on our back end. The high-risk support team is getting more tools to help them do their jobs better, more efficiently. And they're going to be doing more frequent passes and looking through the player base to look at these problem cases and send out punishments.
All right, great. That's going to be a lot of fun and excited about that.
Wonder how they handle intentionally feeding versus feeding.
A throwback to the past. We've got timed queues coming back.
Yeah, so this is the other big feature in Project Olympus this patch is the matchmaking changes.
Okay.
Matchmaking changes, probably one of the most asked for things in all of Smite. Not just Smite, games in general, multiplayer games, across the entire industry, matchmaking is hard. So we just got to get out there and say this before we even go into the changes.
I play a lot of games. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in any game I play say matchmaking in this game is really good.
No,
like literally never.
So we are making some changes, some bold changes, some unique things that other games don't do to try to work to cater to our specific player base. We're not claiming this is just going to solve everything. We're not claiming that we fixed an industry problem that gigantic companies for history of gaming have not solved. We just fixed it. No, that's not the case. But we are implementing specific features that we think work really well in Smite and gonna better fit the way players play Smite. So timed queues are coming back. We've actually done this way back in the day, but that was a very different Smite at that time. So
very much so.
I wouldn't really think of it as coming back. This is a very new feature to the way Smite works. For those of you who don't know what this is that queues, you won't just click play and wait for the timer to pop. Now you will see before you click play when the queue is going to fire, when the match is going to start. You'll be able to see all of the game modes and all of their times. They'll be staggered, so they're firing at different times. So, you know, some players will just go for the shortest ones. Someone will go for the ones they always want to go for and just wait. The timer will count down. Then you will get a match to accept prompt. You click accept, and you'll be entered into the pool for matchmaking, and then the matchmaking starts. So it waits until it gets everybody it can get from the time, and then it starts putting the teams together. So there'll be a secondary timer, a 20-second timer, where you'll get UI feedback, but that's when the matching is taking place. So there's a couple advantages to this. One is that you can miss the queue pop and it doesn't matter, because matchmaking hasn't started yet. If you just don't make the time, no one cares. No deserter.
Oh, cool. That's
just
really good.
You can just
like
you were taking a little too long in the kitchen.
So
you knew you had exactly 5 minutes.
Cool. That's
you didn't
really
make
good.
It back. It's fine. No one cares, because the matchmaker will just not put you in the pool and it'll take everybody else. So then it'll take all the players it gets and set them into matches. And one of the things it does, ideally, is it can really start from the top and work its way down and make sure that we really pool together the players who are strongest. So the old matchmaking system was really good for maybe the average player. But the average player, there's lots of average players, and it's not that hard to match them. So this system, we think, will be better for the very high-end players, the smaller population that cares a lot more about matchmaking, right? So I think those are the key features of this. There's a lot more systems. I'm not going to get really into it. If you miss, if there's 99 people in the queue, some of you will get rolled over to the next queue, but you'll have higher priority to guarantee to get matched the next time. If you're an odd man out or your party doesn't accept, a lot of similar stuff as you're used to being requeued.
What's the queue timer going to be? Do we know the
So the queue timers are different for every queue. We are not publishing those directly in patch notes all listed out, but you'll be able to see those in PTS. And in 5.13 launch, they are increased based on match popularity and size. And they're all staggered from each other, and we very likely might make changes to them. So it's something like Joust and Arena are 2 or 3 minutes. Conquest is 4 or 5 minutes. Ranked modes are 10 to 12 minutes. They don't actually have ranges. I just don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
Just to see if they were different. That's all I asked.
So they are they are different. Some of them will be longer. You know, Siege will be on a longer one. Just a slightly less played mode. But what this should do is really group up players in a more efficient way, since Smite is such a multi-mode game. This will change the way players queue for matches. So
yeah, I really love that idea of you click accept and then you get entered into matchmaker, because I remember back when I was playing with the old time queues, you know, you'd be like, oh, I got in with 5 seconds left, but then the matchmaker didn't have time to put you in the right game, and you'd either miss the queue because of that or the game would get weird. this seems like that'll bring down those sorts of cases at least a little bit.
Unless deserters too for missing the queues.
Yeah, there was no such thing as queue deserter anymore. Only lobby deserter, which of course you should not do.
Right, don't do it.
Don't do that.
Okay, they keep repeating themselves. I'm gonna eat a little bit.
But
Apologize.
That's the only thing.
Unless you're into.
Let's see. Is there anything I missed
Eating
about
streams,
it? It's like
I gotta
the
get
real
this
thing
done
is,
because this is gonna be long.
It's a really tangible change.
Yeah.
So we've been making changes in the background. We've been optimizing our system, the way ELO MMR is tracked, the way the matchmaker decides, oh, it's fair for aggro to play against Ajax. We've been changing that stuff in the back end, but players don't really feel that.
Right.
And they still get one bad match and then get on social media. So this is something that the whole player base is going to feel. It's going to feel different. And we want them to know that we really are trying to solve this problem through all sorts of innovative ways.
All right. Well, that's not the only sort of changes to matchmaking or queues that we've got. We've also got changes to the ranked conquest that we talked a little bit about, kind of previewed a little bit ago, but we are taking away parties from ranked conquest. You got a solo queue.
Solo only ranked conquest. Yes. This is specifically when paired with the time queues has the highest chance to make the best matches. So, like I said, I'm not going to claim that everything's going to be perfect. We're trying to make a lot of improvements, and we want to hear everyone's feedback. We've been communicating really closely with pros and streamers. We want to see how this goes. We're going to be watching really closely. But with solo only and timed queues, that means when that queue fires, the top 10 players should be in the same match together every time. And with parties, that could cause people to shift around. You would get a lot of cases where pros would be like, oh, I'm the one pro who didn't get in the match. And there's some no-name in there. There still might be no-names in there. Those guys are good, though. Okay?
So you got to play with them. They earned it.
Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not good. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see that. And the pros are going to, and the high-ranked players are going to get a little more indicator of who's top. Whether or not their TP value says that, but they'll know who's top because they'll be in the games together.
That's awesome. I'm really excited about that. Also,
just give us our ELO.
Joust, you can still party there, correct?
Just a clarification. 3v3 is still allowed there. That seems to be most of the way people play the mode anyway. So if you want to play ranked Joust, I highly recommend getting a crew together before you queue it. But if you want to go solo, it's still fun to do.
All right. So just
fun.
Some
I don't know about that.
There. A little bit of a difference on the match forgiveness as well coming up with regards to that early surrender rules.
Yeah. So the big thing here is we actually are going to change early surrender a little bit to make it a little bit more useful in more cases. Before, it really cared about if a person disconnected before the match even started. Now we're actually going to allow it to also track for the first 3 minutes. Disconnects. So there's a little bit of a window where someone disconnects early on, not necessarily right before the match starts.
Thank
you.
You
have the ability to early surrender. And then early surrender is actually going to impact ranked modes more directly. If you early surrender, the team that actually had an early surrender, they won't lose any TP. We're going to give TP forgiveness.
Oh, okay.
So you have to successfully surrender for the TP forgiveness.
Look at that. I thought we can't do that because of the bullies.
This is definitely not going to work, and you surrender, you will still lose full penalty. But if you
because people would get bullied to leave the game. That was the reason for years.
Well, if the player returns,
there we go.
This option's off the table. Once they return, you got to play too.
Okay.
So this is a controversial system. Some of the communities talked about a lot, but there are downsides to this one too. That's why we've been hesitant to implement it for a while. But we're ready to try it out. One of the key things we're doing to prevent the break cases is that the disconnected player will receive double the full TP loss.
Oh, wow.
So if this scenario successfully occurs,
that's good.
You disconnect early.
If any of you tries to bully anyone out,
the losing team, 4 players,
get banned.
No TP loss. The disconnected player, full TP loss times 2. Whatever, even if you played the matchup for 45 minutes, whatever, that number times 2 minus. And the winning team will get reduced winning TP because they pretty much did nothing.
Right.
They just get. It was a quick game. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Well, hold on. What if the intimidation of me being in the loading screen is what caused them to DC?
I don't think that's happening.
So we really want to.
I picked Zeus, and now they're like, we can't play it. Like, I'm not doing it.
So you can't. Yeah, if people, we really want to de-incentivize people quitting on purpose to try to avoid this. So the penalty is harsh. So if you're trying to game this to boost your friends, or you were trying to be the hero to your team by quitting, you're gonna pay for it.
Right.
And like you're not gonna be able to do that very often because you'll be back down in the low ranks.
Very, very.
So if I see aggro in my game and go, guys, I'm gonna DC at the start to save you all the worry of having to deal with this rubbish Zeus in the mid lane.
Huge TP loss.
I will lose all that TP.
Yeah, and you'll be down. You won't be playing with aggro again anytime soon because you will be far below him.
Ever again.
Yeah.
Ever
okay.
Again.
So that's really exciting, really big feature people have been asking for a long time. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, there's something that we teased or someone teased, but ranked duel getting a change there with the surrender time now down from 10 minutes. You can now surrender ranked duel at 5 minutes.
Now stop whining about it. It's done now.
I sent out a lot of spoilers.
Hooray!
So, hey, duel, it's only you. If it's only you, We don't really care, I guess, if you're gonna play longer or shorter. It's just one person. You do what you want to do. So let people duel faster. We're fine with it.
Speaking of duel, couple changes to the Joust map. We'll be going through these a little bit more quickly. Got to get to towards those Conquest changes because we got
got to move fast.
Got plenty of them. All right, so Joust towers and Phoenix areas have been updated for better visual clarity, and a new XP camp has been added to the Joust map. It's located just outside the Bull Demon King's area. So what does this camp do, and why are we putting it?
So this is the Joust map, which will affect Joust and Duel.
Correct.
Joust has a really cool early game where there's a lot of contesting over the jungle camp, specifically the red camp. But then there's a couple especially some downtime in like the early to mid game before you can go for Bull Demon King or Towers, where you're kind of just looking at each other. So we wanted to add this other camp. It's a small thing. It's just a thing to do between lanes to bring up a little more strategies. Also just adds a little more jungle to the camp, maybe bring assassins into the mode a little bit more. Just add a little bit more strategy to the area without really causing too many heavy shifts.
And no buff or anything like that. It's just gold next to
two little armored tigers that just give XP and gold.
Oh, just 2 armored tigers. Who doesn't have those?
Well, yeah, of course.
All the time.
And yeah, we're also adjusting the Bull Demon King. In a similar...
increased base HP from about 350 HP.
You know, I play a lot of Joust.
In Duel?
I play with some good players when I do.
You play Joust?
I watched some of my bros like an AMC solo Bull Demon King at level 7, and I was like, I don't really feel like that's.
I hope they should change. So they don't change it in Duel.
Bumping up his health a little bit to really make that a more contestable objective, and not just something that gets ninja'd, stolen, and then snowballed.
Sure, fair enough. Okay, that does it for the Joust map. Also have changes for the arena map. These are some things that people were requesting after some of those arena adventures that we had, some new UI elements and things like that. You can see the ticket value effects a little bit better, and also respawn timer rules have been changed to be a little bit less random, scaled more properly if you're winning or losing.
So we try to use the adventures as a test bed for things whenever we can. So in Inner Demon, we tried a bunch of stuff. We're bringing some of that in here. So when you kill minions, you'll see little ticket pop-ups. This is great for new players who don't really know where the scoring system comes from in Arena. So you'll now see feedback for that, like XP and gold. Updating the HUD so you can see the kills to your Juggernaut, and the respawn timers is a big one too. It's a looping respawn timer, so you could die and have like a 5-second respawn timer, which is just weird.
Right.
So we're equalizing that out. It'll be very based on currently who's leading the game.
Good.
Gotcha.
But then you'll still wave based, not
way better than the looping.
Okay, perfect.
So
30
Arena seconds and stuff.
is going to see some more changes this fall. Big update coming to it.
Big art update later this fall. We're really excited for that. Complete art change to the arena and some minor design changes, but it's looking really good. But keep an eye out for that.
With all the things we have in this mid-season patch, we're still finding a way to build in teasers for future patches.
Right, spoilers.
Somehow. Yeah, exactly.
We know that, guys. We know
Clash
about the
getting a
arena
couple
change.
changes as well. You mentioned this. The Phoenixes will now attack just like normal Phoenixes. No more laser beam eyes for those Phoenixes. The Apophis buff and enhanced Apophis buff gets a buff, I suppose. A little bit.
Buff.
Yeah, the buff gets a buff because why not? Also, the explosion of Apophis entering the map loses a little bit of damage.
A little bit of a nerf. Just a little
Why?
bit. We want it, like just one-shotting people.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's the
we
point.
Like making it. No, we want you to get the kill though, not Apophis.
No.
Right? So now they'll be left there weaker. You can.
No, it was so funny though.
Yeah, and also, so the class changes are mostly because the map had a tendency to kind of stall out and stalemate sometimes.
Yes.
So we really wanted to avoid that. Those Phoenixes, really hard to read.
Yeah.
Like they were interesting, but they were like the way the damage ramped up on the ticks made it feel like nothing, and then you're dead.
Yeah.
So with the regular fire rate, you can play around them better, and then the Apophis buff getting that regeneration. We've seen this in Fire Giant. It really helps sieges.
Yes.
Yeah, especially because Fire or Apophis, like if you go to kill it and you get the buff, it doesn't feel that impactful when you're finishing the game.
Sure.
With health
Right.
regen, it totally will,
Good changes
especially
to
when you're actually
Flash.
trying to siege the Phoenixes.
Might actually make it a bit more interesting.
That does it for Clash. Now, Barracuda, pay attention. Assault change.
This won't really affect him.
Yeah,
Assault will now randomly select a god from all gods instead of the gods the player just owned. So, Barra, if you need a Smurf that doesn't have the
It's
god
a pretty
pack,
interesting
that's
change.
cool.
It
So if you
is.
don't have the god
All
pack,
Oh, that's
gods,
nice.
Yes, all gods for all players in Assault.
Great.
We're still really looking at Assault. We have a lot of big plans for it, so we'll see what we can do in the future. We haven't really figured that out yet.
Assault Season
but
6
Assault is now one
confirmed.
of our. It's a really popular game mode actually. And
Yeah,
it's
it is.
been kind of gone the longest without some changes, so we're keeping an eye out. But although it's small today, we're working on it.
Actually, we did do changes recently. We changed the sound of the dogs, right?
Yeah, we
Big
did.
fix.
That's a
Huge
big
fix.
fix.
That was a big buff to the
Assault
Assault.
thing.
Kudos
I
to the
agree.
environment and audio team on that one.
It really was. Okay, that means it's time for Conquest. We got through
Here
just
we
about
go.
every other sort of map. Let's get started. AJ, you teased this a little bit ago. Support changes in XP.
Right.
What's going on there?
So this is a problem we've been trying to tackle actually since even early 5.1 development, right,
Yeah.
Pon? Like we saw this issue, but Conquest Season 5 had a lot of key goals. We wanted to make junglers more impactful and more independent. We wanted to de-incentivize splitting the entire map. We widened the map. We did made respawn timers, made a lot of changes to affect this. These were all super successful. People seem really happy with Season 5 Conquest, especially a competitive and ranked scene. But it did have one key drawback. That means that it tended to make duo lanes suffer a little bit more. Splitting XP was worse. We experimented with so many ways to tackle this issue. We've tried everything.
We tried a whole bunch of different solutions.
Putting it on Guardian's Blessing just caused everybody to buy one. Even if it was small, just getting a little bit ahead on your opponent was so good. It changed it to a 2-1-2 meta or a group up meta again. It was not good. Can't put it on an item. We ended up with five supports. Not good. We tried XP bonus that was too easy to get. We tried solo. It all had exploitable cases. So really what we wanted to do was focus on just the support. Support tends to split the most. There's kind of 4 positions on the map, the lanes and the jungle, but one person has to share. So really what we did is specify this change directly towards them. Sure, it's going to bounce around to other players on your team, but in most cases it'll affect the support. So after 2 minutes, which is about when players' duo lane starts to be definitively behind the other lanes, depending on your starts, the lowest level player on each team will get increased shared experience.
So not just experience, only when shared.
Only when shared experience. So the support has to, or the
remember,
who is lowest
only shared
with an ally, and then they will get. And I put the math in the patch notes so you can see it. But essentially, so it's normally 100%. With a shared player, it goes up to 120, so it would be 60-60. Now it'll be 60-75% for the lower level player. And so if you're doing your ADC are exactly the same level, both low, it'll bounce back between them. At the time, but as soon as the support starts roaming, ADC gets that solo farm, then they'll start doing that with the mid laner. The mid laner is going to be almost certainly ahead of them. So the support will can split with the mid laner, get a bunch of experience there, move in with the jungler, gives them a lot of flexibility.
Perfect. And we talked a lot about DCs and what was happening there with the early surrender changes and that kind of stuff. How do DCs impact this?
I'm actually not fully familiar.
Oh yeah, sorry, I tried to throw it upon because I'm talking way too much.
Because
it's simple. Pawn's your eye candy right now, and you're
looking good, Pawn.
Yeah, bring all the info.
If a player is disconnected, they will not get this bonus. So it'll just use the second lowest player.
When it comes back,
if they come back, they will take it back, and then they can try to get back in the game. Sure,
good. Also good.
But a key thing about this though is we're not really intending this change to work that way. Like this is not a change that's like, oh, my solo laner fed, and now we're just gonna boost them back. No. This is not a change like, oh, we're just going to go like, I'm just going to not play my role and just go harass the enemy jungler, not going to XP and then just earn it all back. No, it doesn't work like that.
It's not going to work out. And the way this is designed, from what I'm reading here, is like by 9 minutes, it's always the support that's bottom of the experience. By 9 minutes in the game, from 2 minutes onwards, this is going to be helping out the team as a whole. You're going to be sharing a lot anyway.
So this is really intended to not really change anything with the play stats. We're not trying to get people to game the system. Although they might, that's MOBAs, and that's beautiful.
They're going to try to,
But it's not going to be it's not going to have a huge payoff if you try to do that. But really, you play optimally, you play normally, you play support. At the time you're in the team fight phase, you're just going to start catching up to your teammates faster.
Perfect.
And it's intentionally subtle so that those situations where people might try and game it, it's not really beneficial enough to really game it. It's just going to be something that's happening passively to your team that is a slight benefit.
So if, it's a casual player, doesn't watch patch notes, they haven't been playing for a little bit, they come back and 4 weeks or something like that, and they're just like, man, I'm sick at farming and support. Like, I don't know what I did differently, but I'm just feeling a little bit better. That's kind of the feel we're going.
Exactly.
15%. It's not crazy.
Also, a change to minion AI here in Conquest. Minions that have already chosen a target will now no longer change targets unless drawn by God.
Because just one player, not two.
This is a big bullet point too. This is something we hear a lot from pros and especially veteran players about asymmetrical minion wave clearing. So, hey, me and my opponent, we did the same jungle start, but I got to lane and they had 3 minions and I only had 2. And now I lost the game. Okay, well, that's an exaggeration. You should be able to play around that. But we're trying to optimize that scenario. This is not going to guarantee symmetrical farm, but the way that issue occurs is when minions, they shuffle around a little bit, as anything driven by AI is not going to be perfectly scripted. It's going to make some choices based on the AI. It's going to have some randomness to it, and that's okay. But we're decreasing the chances of that happening a little bit by making sure the minions, when they focus a target and there's nothing out around to distract them, that they stay on their target and continue to DPS it and hopefully clear each other a little more closely symmetrically.
So can I ask a question about that? So the enemy aggro that you're going to see there, if a god gets aggro from those minions, when the minions go back to the wave again, if the wave was still there, would they re-aggro the same minions, or would they just select new targets?
We're not changing anything to the system except in the case where they're already targeting a minion. So in that case, nothing changed.
Right. Okay.
If gods are around, Nothing changed.
Cool.
And the main problem with solving this issue is that in 99% of cases, a god was around and affected the lane. And it wasn't just pure RNG. You did something or your opponent did something.
Gotcha.
So this is just to work out the fringe cases. We're really trying hard to fix these like unsolvable problems. We're not going to necessarily just perfectly fix them, but we're making changes to improve it.
Yeah, I thought I saw something about world hunger somewhere in here.
Right.
So, while we're attacking matchmaking and
peace
minion
among all
AI,
nations,
right?
yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the next logical
The Smite
thing.
team is on it.
Really good changes so
Don't
far,
you
though.
worry
Not
about
even
it.
kidding.
Elder Harpy getting a bit of a nerf here. This one, it will affect mid Harpy.
Even
and
more?
back, or XP camps, kind of whatever you want to call them now. This base XP reduced from 34 to 24. So
it's
gold's
already
still
trash.
staying the same,
Right.
But mid and jungle should get a little bit less XP with this change.
Yeah, so the goal here is, we talked about the support and duo lane especially as the one that was kind of the more problematic thing of Season 5 that has kind of shown up. But one other aspect of that is the fact that mid and jungler get a little bit too far ahead. And so like as a jungler, you can get a really good rotation off and you can go gank that duo lane that's now a level down for you. Or the mid laner can rotate over and really have a big impact there. Changing the Elder Harpy, so the large Harpy, is going to slow that down a little bit. It's going to keep largely the pace the same. It doesn't feel that different. But when you are actually farming those things effectively, you'll be a little bit lower level. So the difference between the duo lane and the mid and the jungler is going to be a little bit less.
Okay,
Particularly affects the early game.
Yeah.
As the XP rule ramps up over time, this prevents that like level 5 versus level 3 gank.
Gotcha.
And shout outs to the pros for helping us discuss all these changes on Conquest. Like, they were really helpful in the whole thing. We had a big round table here at the last LAN, and we've been talking online nonstop. And like, we were trying to brainstorm this issue about how to buff supports, and then they were like, "Why not just nerf mid jungle a little bit?" And we were like, that's a good idea.
There you go.
So we took a very subtle approach to both of them, and the pros, you know, they always give us really good insights. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate you.
Perfect. All right. Oracle's also getting a little bit of a nerf here, but it's more about the HP. So kind of a buff for taking oracles.
Good.
In a way. In the early
Oracles
game,
get more
base
value
HP,
over mids.
Right now, each oracle is 680 in base HP, now going down to 500. So
Wow.
much easier to clear in the early game.
Yeah, they're much easier to clear in the early game. If your duo lane wants to rotate over, if your jungler wants to farm, then it's going to be a bit more effective.
So much
Yeah,
more
because
value now.
teams ignoring it for an excessive period of time, even though they were up and ready to take. They were just a bit too tanky.
Right.
And so now with the lower
There's a
health,
second
they'll
nerf
be
to them.
more,
It's so good.
contestable early on.
Still want them to feel like a mini objective, but just turn that dial a little bit.
Perfect. Okay. Now we've got a lot of buff changes. to Conquest.
Yeah,
Fun.
these are spicy.
This, yeah, buckle in. If you
dirty laugh.
if you haven't been ready quite yet, this is where you should get ready. We'll start with the most one. Oh, the pro player tiers already.
They like this change.
Well, I mean,
we've already talked about it with
first one on
them.
the list.
Okay, yeah.
We've already talked this over with them. They like it.
Speed buff nerf.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Is it though?
As a jungler.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
It could be a
nerf.
1% buff.
Could be. Okay,
Technically
so
is.
all of these buffs,
Technically is.
real quick, all the buffs are getting a little bit of a top-end reduction.
Right.
You're not getting the full benefit all the time, but you're getting kind of mini
It
objectives.
was already nerfed in
with a lot
Season
of these
5.
buffs, at least in regards
Don't
to
nerf
something
it.
like the speed buff. So right now, speed buff gives you 15% extra movement speed. We're going to reduce that down to 10%.
What?
However, before you junglers lose your minds, the buff now applies an additional stack of 2% speed on each jungle camp / assist, and that'll stack up to 3 times. Stacks will last 15 seconds. So this encourages you to actually move around and actually use your speed buff to
okay.
clear the jungle faster instead
still
of just
worse.
using it to just have way more movement
For
speed in
chasing.
combat than everyone else.
Right.
Yeah, that's the specific goal, is that when you
It's
kill
not
the jungle camps, you're able
garbage.
to rotate around the jungle
Move this up a
effectively.
little.
Your farm speed is largely the same. We didn't want to nerf the mid harpies and nerf your farm speed. When you go to gank, if you haven't killed something in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to lose that speed buff, so you're not just outpacing everyone when you go to gank.
Oh, it feels
It's annoying
so
because it
good.
takes away the
Because
option
that
to
feels
gank
so
first
good.
and then go to clear
as well, right?
if
Only
it didn't work
jungle
out.
camps.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, junglers have been very powerful in Season 5. Speed buff has been
yeah.
something that's described as widely OP for a while. So
Literally forever.
we wanted to nerf it, but we wanted to give junglers the control to still use it in a way that allows them to.
I'm not too mad because I know what else is coming.
Yeah,
If you're
so
playing perfectly,
if you get all
1%,
3
which I
stacks,
know
that does put
every
you to
single one of you out there does.
all of us.
The way
all
my
the
social
time.
media works, you all play Smite perfectly all the time.
Exactly. So this is a deal that had to be made in order to nerf speed buff, red buff also. Unfortunately,
We're getting a lot of nerfs actually. Red buff and blue buff nerf and purple buff getting buffed.
Yeah.
Nerfs on the rest.
That's fine. It's worth it. Trust me, mages, hunters, it's worth it.
Percent power strong.
It is, especially
it's
in the
really
late
good.
game. Right now, red buff gives you 20%. We're going to reduce that down to 10%. However, you will get 15% when hitting enemy gods. So you only lose 5% when hitting enemy gods, 10% when hitting lane minions, and that's where red buff really did feel a little bit gamey at times, which is like, the enemy has red buff, I'm just getting out cleared and out traded at the same time by so much.
I can see
Especially
that.
late game.
Yeah,
that power percentage was so much. It
doesn't affect me,
objectives and
but I can understand why that's done.
In a strange way.
It's kind of the same concept as
it's still going to be
speed
very
buff.
impactful, but dial it back.
Yes,
dial it back.
15% power, I'll take it at just about any time. Purple buff getting a change for each enemy past the first within 55 units of you. All enemies within that area will lose additional protection. So right now it's just anyone around you. I believe it's 10 procs.
Correct.
That you use currently. That you lose currently. So you'll still have that 10 procs if there's only one enemy around you. But kind of like Oni Hunters, where it's affected, or Masamune by gods around you. Now you'll actually be able to stack that purple buff debuff depending on how many gods are around you. So if you're in the midst of a team fight, enemy gods. If you're in the midst of a team fight, you can strip a decent amount of protection.
Yeah, up to 18.
Yeah.
And we also just wanted to add an extra note that this actually does stack.
Oh.
Rarely do debuffs like this stack, but every other jungle buff, if I've got red buff and Pon's got red buff, you know, that's...
Yeah.
So you can get, if you got 2 purple buffs, you can get in the middle of a late game team fight, 36 prots?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah,
in laning phase, if you steal the dual lanes purple and you have
that's a big
purple
deal.
yourself, that's 24 protections.
Double purple.
Yeah.
They stack on one player?
This purple buff was like a lot
I
of
thought
times
stack
people
on 2 players.
Purple buff is just like whatever, it's just there. So we wanted people to play around it like they do the other ones.
It's
crazy.
better than red.
It's almost
PTS feedback's
base
really
pen.
important. We're gonna feel everything out.
Whoa.
But it's really exciting.
Yeah, at least
Purple's
in the
gonna
early
be
game is
good.
what I'm talking about in the duo lane, as you mentioned.
Can we just notice that,
procs.
by the way? As soon as a new buff changes and purple gets slightly looked at even more, support's like, oh, a buff. And the mage is over here like,
thank
yeah,
you.
look, he
that
already
might
said
be
that.
better for us.
Wait, you mind if I just take that? Y'all mind
You
if
plan
I...
on being in the midst of 5 enemy gods on your mage aggro?
Hey, man.
You playing Jonqui a lot lately?
A lot of John. Yes, I have
Be good
been.
on
Thank you
John
very
He's
much.
getting nerfed, so.
Yeah, John.
What about blue?
blue buff? Thank you, Graham.
No problem.
Yes.
Sorry. we gotta
Decrease
keep
the
moving.
mana restored from 25 to 15 per 5 seconds, so a pretty significant reduction in that mana regen, but you now restore 2% of your missing mana upon damaging a god with an ability that will only trigger once an ability, a lot like Glad Shield. So again,
I'll buff some more
giving you
aggro.
a little bit of a mini objective to play with.
Yeah,
I'll buff
like
my aggro, that's
the
it.
warriors or mages trading in the solo lane, fighting each other, and this just kind of encourages that. If you want to actually get that full mana sustain, you really do need to actually fight your opponent for it. Same with Warrior's Blessing, same with
purple, the
Shield.
double purple
And
just
we do
seems so
have a
scary.
Warrior's Blessing that might encourage a little bit more fighting, more aggression in that lane.
This one's also intended to just be like a real flat nerf. A lot of times we're seeing pretty much 0 mana management worries right now. So we just wanted to just nerf.
Does it still have the CDR?
It does not.
Do a dual lane with a melee
Not
with an
the CDR, the
assassin.
internal cooldown.
Double
So high
purple.
cooldown gods can benefit from this change more, but they're also spending more mana because they're firing off their abilities. We think it'll be we'll think it'll be okay.
Okay, so the buff still does give you 10% CDR.
I'm actually very
That's
serious
why I
about
think
that.
Graham
No,
was
think of it.
Oh,
after.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about an internal cooldown on the
But
proc.
that's also a
on
good
the
question,
trigger.
too.
No,
There is no
good.
internal cooldown on the proc, and the
good.
CDR remains the same number.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right, we got to get through this quickly because we've been spending a lot of time on all
But
these
those changes were so
Listen,
hype.
They were.
It's the summer patch now. This is what happens.
I
man.
know.
I had to shout out to the pros. I know it took extra time.
No,
It's
that's
worth it.
totally.
It was worth
Hey,
it. It was worth it.
I'm just. You guys are doing your job. I'm trying to do
Just
mine.
be glad you're
well,
not sweating.
I'm well.
I am glad.
Yeah, I am glad about
Me
that.
too.
Jungle practice updates. You tweeted a little bit about this, AJ. Yeah, it has a bunch of new stuff. I mean, automatic set to level 20. You can change your jungle camps with cool little buttons.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll tell a little. So jungle practice.
Show us.
Not really a true game mode, but something that people use a lot and something that's really fun to go in and test. And it's really important to like
It's a true game
people
mode.
who make guides and people who do videos and people who like to test and do theory craft and stuff like that. So we want to encourage people to use it.
Yep.
It's me.
So it had some old art, some old minions, old characters. So we updated all of that to season 5 level art. Accurate new season 5 Conquest, Gold Fury, and Fire Giant. Jungle buffs, a whole bunch of new features. So I mean, I don't even think we should even talk about the features individually. But we should just go through it. Just read them off, like an auctioneer about how awesome this is.
Are you ready for your jungle practice changes, everyone? Get ready.
Yes, I am.
I'm going to go through them. Automatic set to level 20. There's a new CD reduction plus mana regen that gives you 80% CDR and a ton of MP5
Nice.
so you can spam your abilities.
Nice.
God mode will lock your HP at 100%.
Nice.
Stack items. You can now step on a button and your stacks
know this,
are
but
done.
nice.
I wish I had that in Conquest.
Instant
at times.
stacks.
We also have a couple new testing areas. You can choose from different gods to fight against.
Nice.
In the
Not just
AI
Raw.
section.
Nice.
Not
A whole
just
roster
Raw all
of
the
teams to
time. Yeah.
fight.
Save Raw.
He's still in there as a choice.
Okay, good enough. Buff camps, you can now select which Conquest buff you want to test against. There's a Towers and Phoenixes section, so you can test your DPS on those sorts of objectives. And there's a free fight section for you to go in and just go mano-y-mano with one of your friends, should you so choose. Also,
Duels.
some of the, your true duel sort of setup there.
Nice.
New features in some old zones. Odin bots, we added a new area set up with a radius, a series of ranges and radius indicators so you can better feel out the size of your attacks.
Hey.
This is your new jungle practice. Also, some nice new signage.
Lots of signage.
Moving targets for practice.
That's where aggro plays.
Which is remaining.
I can actually get good.
That's art. It's hard to change. But yeah, you'll see all these here.
Perfect.
Tower Phoenixes.
Yep.
Oh my
your
God,
Tower
this is
Phoenix
so
right there is
nice.
your free fight. That's anytime I have Zeus. That's a free fight for me. Minion waves. You can step on a pad to change the minion stats to match a certain time frame of the Conquest map. That is super cool.
Super hardcore feature there for you veterans. But if you really want to test like a half build at like level 7 and 2 items and minions at 7 minutes or 6
Dude, this looks like
minutes.
we could have the Smite Olympics here. You know what I mean? Like, who can throw their
It looks a bit ugly still, but I love what it offers.
Also, the center area reduced the size of the fountain a little bit more. That's where we were standing.
For anyone like you who does stuff with this is so nice.
Right. So now you can also sell relics and buy new ones, and you can sell blessings and buy new ones as well. So basically, everything you could need to test, you should have now.
Also, you should be able to bring a full team of 5 allies into this at once to goof off and fight against each other.
That's cool. Yeah, and that free fight
I've already been told that like Team Rival plans on squatting up in here and doing all sorts of weird experiments.
Well, this is where like I don't know that Splice is going to be able to get Divios out of this mode.
I know, right?
Anymore, so they might have to scrim in this sort of setup. That is your changes for the jungle practice mode. And now let's get on to something you might even.
Oh my God,
more
this is so
excited
cool!
about. Oh, that's really cool. Something you might be even more excited about. Bug fixes. Yeah. No,
Another
actually,
big list of them.
be excited because there's a lot of them here. There certainly are. So many Conquest NPCs had no icon for taking for the damage they were dealing. Icons have been added for the T screen so that you can understand how you died
death
to
recap,
minions.
yeah. And they look really nice, actually. They're very, very great.
It won't make you feel any better about dying to a minion, but
or a Titan.
Or a Titan.
Yeah.
But now you'll see a sweet sword of justice in your death recap.
All right, fair enough. Could be worse. Also fix some issues where voice chat was sometimes not working or not show that people were talking. Nice change there. Also fixed some console spectator issues. That's exciting. Spectator on console should no longer get stuck after picks and bans. And please, I mean,
so it's actually working again.
Issues, we know we've had a couple of them. Please keep letting us know about those so that, in case we're missing them, you guys can let us know and we can start working on them.
Right, and especially try to be specific as possible when you're talking to us. Like, we're trying to track these ones down. Specifically, they're hard for us to reproduce. Like, players will tell us it's completely broken, and we don't really know what that means. Our QA team will boot it up, and it works okay internally. So, we're going to keep working on that together.
Okay.
Works okay.
The community's been helping us out a lot with finding these fixes too. So
perfect. All right, that means we're done with
and there's a lot more bug fixes, a lot more. We just picked a small amount.
I thought Ryan was seeing something different than me because I'm like, he's got loads of bug fixes.
No, if you when you see the actual patch notes, I was writing out bug fixes yesterday for like 3 hours. Yeah, I mean, we have victory defeat screen changes. We have a bunch of gods getting some small fixes. Audio adjustments. Thoth alts are all being equalized for audio, so no more banned skins for Thoth. Hopefully, like a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so plenty. So make sure you get a chance to actually read the patch notes once they're released on our website. With the bug fixes down, that means we get into item balance.
It's item time.
It's item time.
Core gameplay stuff.
This is gonna be crazy
because we've got. Well, the masks, I'm going to start there. Like, whether you guys want to or not, we're starting with masks because you guys talked about them. Everyone's having ideas. I've seen social media where people they've got some sort of idea about it. Break it down before we go through them, what the idea of these items are for.
So I think the big thing here is we want to give players a kind of way to really mix things up, really kind of almost shift classes in a way where like you could play a warrior, but you want to play more assassin-y, and you can kind of shift your playstyle to be more assassin-y or more guardian-y.
Yeah.
Guardian-y? Is that a word?
I mean, it is now.
Guardian-like.
Guardian-like.
Yeah.
So the big thing about the masks are they will give you powerful benefits and good stats. But there will be drawbacks to them. They will actually take away stats from you. So one of them will actually give you a damage decrease. So you will deal less damage, but you also take away less damage, percentage based. So if you want to be more
mark my predictions yesterday and see how underestimating
now,
and they're all available to all guys.
How much I underestimate how crazy
these
this will be.
New items, they may be adjusted because I'm scared of these. at the same time as they do feel like I don't know if they're going to be good still. I couldn't tell you guys.
They are tricky like that.
I have no idea.
A lot of PTS feedback will be taken into consideration. We've already been discussing this one with the pros as well. I expect balance changes to these as we go forward, but we're really excited about the idea of them.
The masks are going to be part of a tree that some of you may have seen online already. Yep. The base level 1 mask is going to be 500 gold and have 50 health and 50 mana on it. However, then we go into 3 different trees. The first tree is going to be the defense tree. We'll break this one down first of all. The tier 2 of this, for 1,200 gold, is 50 health, 15 magical protections.
Would you name them? Come on.
And 10% crowd control reduction. The upgraded version of this, the Lono's mask, is going to be 2,200 gold, 100 health, 50 protections, 50 magical and physical protection separately, 20% crowd control reduction, plus minus 25% damage dealt, and plus 15 damage mitigation.
Yes.
So
that's the key right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the key right
That's
there.
the good stuff.
The stats are a little underwhelming on the tier 1 and tier 2. That's kind of intentional. These aren't intended to be.
I don't think Lonos is the best one of them.
But a lot of protections.
Yeah, a lot of protections and a lot of just actual true damage mitigation.
Which is
like compared to like a
But
Mantle of
also
Discord or something.
big damage output reduction.
Yes.
I think it needed CDR.
And this is really nice. You'll see when you get in the in-game UI, we have a really nice color.
But still makes you very
highlighting,
tanky though.
To make this really clear, the sacrifice is highlighted red and the bonus of the passive is highlighted green.
But look at like how much it
I'll
is.
have a clear,
15% here,
gains
25% there.
So you
It's
can always
crazy.
clearly kind of tell what you're getting.
Yep.
The first person I think over that is Geb. Like from a support player's mindset, I'm like, give Geb good.
Well,
go Geb, go.
I mean, Geb does
Never
decent
die,
damage
Geb.
though, you know.
He does.
Sacrifice
Well,
that.
there's a playtest where you were trying it, and you almost killed someone, and if you didn't have the mask, you actually might have.
Yeah. I
killed
blinked in on Chaos while he was recalling in the jungle at low health, and I hit him with all my Geb stuff, and he just barely survived, and I was like,
Well, now,
how does this work with things like Geb alt, where it's percentage based? How does that
should be
interact?
reduced
Should
again.
all be reduced.
it will reduce the percentage.
Yeah,
Okay,
Geb.
because I thought I was looking for an edge case.
It'll choose
when
the
I-
damage
we're
and
still
then
trying to break
reduce
I wonder what it
the
does with like Soul Reaver or
all
something.
damage percent adjustments like that happen very late in the process.
While people are freaking out about the defense one, let's move on to the mobility one.
This
That
is
should be another
this is a
interesting
scarier
Oh
one.
boy.
So the tier 2 is 1,200 gold, 10 physical power, 30 magical power, 10% movement speed, 10% cooldown reduction. That's the tier 2. The tier 3
is always so good.
Bomber's Mask. It's not what you think it is. It may be worse. 2,400 gold, 25 physical power, 60 magical power, 20% movement speed, 20% cooldown reduction, and you take 20% more damage. But you also get plus 50 movement speed. 50 is huge!
We
It's
just
not-
broke
You had
a
50
lot of
and
rules.
20%.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know.
That readout just broke
Yeah,
like
I
5
know.
core Smite rules.
So it's not percentage based movement speed; it's just flat movement speed
Yes. Right.
added on.
Which
50.
still is DR'd heavily. So
Sure.
rarely will you
Wait.
buy this and see actual.
Why does it say 20% then
will
as
you
well?
buy the 50 and see the true 50 because it will be DR'd through that formula.
I mean, technically as well, because 20% movement speed in this as well is actually
Yes, there
more
is
than that,
20%
right?
as that too.
Okay.
Okay, that is actually
And it
both.
gives you both types of power.
Yep.
Which we never done before. And any god can buy this. So yeah, you can be Ymir with physical power. It won't do anything, but you
Right.
can get it now. And it's got cooldown reduction. This one is strong. This one will probably take some adjustment. But,
Yeah,
but the taking so much more damage, you die really quick.
Yeah.
So it's a scary downside.
Yeah, I tried this out a few times, and there's a few times where I walked in, I was like, oh yeah, I ate like one hit from someone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm red. Red health.
We are lucky that these
When you
stats
move so
are not
fast,
that
if
good for
someone-
Kali.
It's really hard
That's
for
all
me
I
to
would
catch
say.
you. So it's kind
Not
of, it is
that-
a trade-off
that
I'm
good.
moving really, really
It's
fast.
20%
But
CDR.
if anyone catches me for any reason, I'm going to suffer for it.
So Neath
Our
Nuwa
Kwang is
new
gonna be
meta,
crazy good
right?
because
you
ult.
can't. They're just taking 20% more from a Nuwa alt or a Neath alt, and your
Yeah.
movement speed. Good luck.
I mean, we've been having Pon on junglers trying to break this item all week, and he's successfully done it probably. But we'll wait for everybody else on PTS to try it out too before we make any adjustments.
To be
Thanatos
fair, I think
heals
we
up
prefer the
anyways.
Next item. That's
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
what we talked
probably.
about
But
in the
imagine
mask tree.
both.
We're on to the damage one now, and this is the final of the 3 masks. Clear one thing up before I state this one as well. Only 1 mask can be purchased.
Thana doesn't
You
even need the
can't
pen.
buy
It's
multiple
Thana.
masks.
All the way.
Right.
And even if you did, I don't think that's a very good idea anyway, because the negatives actually outweigh the positives from the other ones.
No, not always.
It
Yeah.
feels that.
In case you just missed that, you cannot
Well,
build
it's all
multiple
percentage
masks.
based, so if you're not
Just
building
one.
enough power or defense, that it doesn't really matter, right?
That's true.
You gotta.
I
buy
think
these
builds
a bit
would be
later.
not very good if you tried to buy multiples.
only
we
one
won't let
mask.
you anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry.
Only 1 mask, only 1 blessing, mastery, Damage version. Fighter's Mask is 1,200 gold. It's 10 penetration, 20 physical power, 50 magical power. Then Rangdar's Mask. Yeah, he's back too. 2,600 gold, 20 penetration, 50 physical power, 100 magical power, minus 30 movement speed, but plus 15% ability damage and plus 20% basic attack damage.
That one is so scary.
Lordy.
So yeah, we take away your boots.
My theory is right, by the way, on the 3 masks,
So
in terms of the visuals.
A good portion of it.
Rangdar's
You move
aggro,
like a snail,
and the
but
utility,
you
speed
swing
one.
like a truck.
Yeah, you turn it
I'm a
into
snail
truck
truck.
mode. Yeah.
Speed, utility,
truck
and the
mode.
defense
Yeah, these
one.
items are arranged in a nice triangle where you sacrifice one stat to gain the other, but they don't just directly.
Actually,
cancel
even
out
the
each other.
CDI was right.
They go
Hey.
through the mobility. Like, we didn't want to do just plus damage and plus defenses and then the opposite, right?
Yeah.
It's a little less interesting, and it causes some weird matchups where it's not that exciting. It just cancels out.
Right.
So this triangle feature works out really well, and you have to go through mobility to make it to the powerful stats that you want.
And I also think it's worth knowing that this is the most expensive one. They all have different
I think this
costs.
is really
The
good for
lowest one is the
mages
lowest
that
cost,
have
the ring is the
mobility.
highest.
Right.
Like,
And that's the main thing that the
Raging.
balances of the item, the cost could change.
or you
the
slow the
activity
enemies.
stat could change.
Shankui.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. But it's going to be
PTS.
experimented with.
PTS will be really fun with us.
Have fun.
Yeah, all the theater crafters out there are just trying to like break everything right now.
Some of the new items so far. We're going to move on to late game potions next of all. The elixir of power and the elixir of defense. We're going to group these two together. They're not going to be removed on death anymore is the big news on this.
Yes.
These are the 3K potions.
Right.
3K potions, you can persist through death. Yeah, we just want to make sure when you're buying this, it's very late game. We just want, these are end the game type of items. We want to make sure people continue to just fight it out until the game is over and not just immediately lose his investments and stuff like that.
Yep.
So.
Now they also now
like
provide
it.
an additional 25% damage mitigation from structures is the defense one, and the offense one gives additional 25% damage to structures. And the
Nice.
buff time has been increased. It was 300
Nice.
seconds. It's going to be 360 seconds and persist through death. So
Yeah.
we're gonna
And
see
the
Might
game.
be better
And
to
the
pick
game.
that up
Yeah.
before
If
some
you're
other
at 3K
items.
potions, end the game.
Yeah, that's the
You've already
idea.
done it.
So
You
you're
can like
there,
buy it at
close
like
it
Get to
out.
the finish line. learn
fifth
to
item
siege,
and just
end the game.
just
Yeah,
win
exactly.
or fourth
After
even.
late game
I don't
potions,
know.
we'll move on to mage items.
Sixth.
Overall, before we
Lot
get to the
of
mage
mage
items,
changes, yeah.
Not sure.
we do some mage changes here.
Sounds crazy.
We're still working on the fallout of the Rod of Tahuti change, I would mostly say.
You want it all
that was
in,
a
you know?
really big change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen mages fluctuate in power really heavily. I think we're getting really close to the right spot, but we had a couple mage item passives that felt really redundant. Kind of like bonus damage on top of bonus damage, and like it was kind of weird that like Ethereal Staff was a anti-tank item, but also a tanky mage item, and so we did a couple things to smooth those out and make them have more clear goals.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Yep.
That's a
So
story
let's
of a
move on
nerf.
to them then. We're going to start off with Soul Reaver first of all. It's going to have a passive rework.
Whoa.
This is now Ethereal Staff passive.
Right.
So the passive is your abilities deal an additional 2% of your target's maximum health as magical damage. If the target has over 2,000 health, your ability bonus damage scales up. This effect reaches a maximum of 8% maximum health damage at 2750 health. So that's now going to be E-Staff, but in Soul Reaver.
Right, Soul Reaver was already doing bonus damage,
Right.
but it was doing a
It
different
was
amount.
doing
in a
true
weird
damage,
way.
which
I
was
don't
way
think
better,
we
and it was
needed
doing all of it
another
instantly.
Reverse damage item on top of
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
So we wanted to make the anti-tank item more clearly a power item with a power bonus damage passive.
I think that's
Yeah, it's
bad
stats
for
are the
Reaver.
same.
Yeah.
Okay. So Soul Reaver stays the same apart from its passive changes to E-Staff. Now, Ethereal Staff itself is going to get a new passive. The passive is, whenever you damage an enemy god, you steal 8% maximum mana.
Mana steal, mana
Mana
drain.
steal.
In the game.
It's there.
You're welcome, Reddit.
8% maximum mana as well as 4% maximum health from the target. The stats remain stolen for 45 seconds, and targets affected can have multiple buffs and debuffs at once.
Correct.
This can only occur once every 15 seconds. So they get
Yes.
it back after 45 seconds?
Yeah,
if-
so it'll debuff them
What?
to essentially steal that, and the person who applies it will get the buff for it.
Right.
And then every 15 seconds you can reapply it, and because the buff lasts for 45 seconds, you can actually have multiple different ones active at any given time. So you could stack them all on one person. You could also spread that out over multiple people. But so you can actually get quite a bit of bonus maximum mana and bonus maximum health.
That's strange.
Which makes sense for this item because it's more of a tanky item. It has health on it. It's really kind of more
Because you
defensive
lose that
oriented
mana again at the
mages.
end, so you
this
don't
can
really want to use
ramp
more
up and give
abilities
you a lot of
anyways.
stuff. And the maximum mana will come into handy with some other changes we're talking about.
Okay.
It's a really interesting item passive. You know,
Mana burn.
Another notable thing from Soul Reaver is we took out the internal cooldown on that, so you can hit people for shred % a lot more since you lost a lot of bonus damage on there. So the E-Staff is even better E-Staff.
Still only once per ability though.
Right? Yes.
Wait, whoa, okay, now it's suddenly really good.
Ethereal Staff, yeah, this is this kind of like, I don't know, like really kind of draining ability where you can actually get bigger. You can get
a tanky target that does like so much now.
Health, max mana and health while draining their mana. Like
20%.
We're trying to find out a way to incorporate mana drain in an interesting way. And this is what we came up with, and I'm really excited about it.
So from really bad to really good.
On to Book of Thoth next. This is going to get some changes too. Increased cost from 2650 to 2800. Reduced magical power from 100 to 80. Increased mana from 125 to 250, so that's doubled. And increased mana conversions from 3% to 5% on the evolution.
That might be more or less. I'm not even sure.
Here, or just like focused in a different direction?
Focused. It's focused on the passive.
Okay.
It did too much of everything. It was a little split. It was kind of losing its place in the meta. Now it's clearly the mana conversions more powerful and more mana, but less overall power.
And especially gets more powerful when you actually get the stacks up, which before a lot of people would actually just buy it and be like, yeah, this is good, outright buying it. So now actually building the stacks has a lot more impact.
Wait, you mean us as casters need to come up with a new line for Book of Thoth? And well, the stacks don't really matter on this item, so they're not worried about it.
And you can actually the stacks matter now.
The rest of your build synergy matters more too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's you'll be talking about the Kulkan with how this is going. He's looking good. Oh, look, I was on
double stacking might actually have value.
No longer
Again.
Provides health. The shield now calculates based on your total mana, not current mana. Increased passive mana shield from 15% to 20%. Lowered health threshold for passive trigger, 50% to 40%.
Another focus on the passive change.
Right. Yep. So more about the passive, making that more stand out. But
like what?
Yeah, so the passive really saves you when it pops. It will shield you for a bit more and based off your mana, so again, more mana synergy.
Sure.
And then you also have the lower health threshold trigger.
So if you have the mana seed from Ethereal, then it's even better?
Just popping when you didn't really
Or is that not max mana? So just
but yeah, the health's gone. So the tankiness is focused on the passive entirely, not on the base item itself.
Right. Okay. Right. Next on the list is Sorcerer's Staff and Warlock Staff. So I'm going to go through these real quick. Sorcerer's Staff reduced mana.
It sounded like it was max, so
100. And Warlock Staff reduced mana from 400 to 200. I'm guessing you give identity focus again if these do mana and these do.
And Warlock Staff is a health item.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So nerf the mana.
Okay,
Also
never mind the double stacking.
Warlocks plus book build from being like insane.
Correct.
So, Typhon's Fang reduced magical power from 100 to 80. Increased bonus magical power from your lifesteal total from an equal amount to twice the amount.
Right, so that's at most about 50 more power, like if you're maxing lifesteal, which pretty much no one does. But this is, again, focus on the passive.
Okay.
So now if you're in like that 2 lifesteal item type of build, you're going to get more power out of this item than you did before because we're just nerfing the flat power, buffing the passive.
So if I'm Goobis and I take that mask that makes me do more damage yet move very slow, but I'm Goobis anyway.
Yes.
And then I get Typhon's Fang, I'm looking good, is what you said.
You're looking really good.
I won't lie to you, Goobis was in the front of my brain while working on that mask often.
That's why I brought him up.
Just walk away from him now.
Wasn't just Goobis, but it's definitely good on Goobis.
Backcraft's Talent, going to get a small cost increase. A lot of people were complaining about this. It's 2,400 to 2,500 gold now, so a bit of a change there. Restored Artifact decreased MP5 from 20 to 15, so
that's
a little bit more.
Yes.
Of that.
Tier 2 of Rod of Tahuti and Chronos.
Right, because people would be freaking out if that's tier 1. Yeah,
yes.
big nerf. But tier 2.
I mean, to be fair, if I had 20 on that, I'd be complaining.
Yeah.
Chronos Pendant decreased magical power from 100 to 90, but decreased the MP5 from 25 to 20. Just a big nerf.
Just a slight nerf. Well, it's a very catch-all type of item.
Yeah, lots of power, lots of regen, MP5. And CDR plus CDR breaking. So just focusing more on the CDR.
After Season 5 changes, it came back in a big way.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
Continue with the mage items then. We're on to Rod of Asclepius next. The passive effect now only increases heals from abilities. No more potions, lifesteal, or FP. So only from actual heals.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to keep
Come on, it was so nice for lifesteal.
The lifesteal is the biggest question mark, I think.
I think that's the one that a lot of people would be like, lifesteal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to use it in that way. But the real thing was we wanted to prevent it from making Fire Giant buff actually could heal you a huge amount when you had a Rod. So
I'm sad.
Rod of Healing, same as Rod of Asclepius. The passive effect now only increases heals from abilities. No more parts, lifesteal, FG buff. Next up is Oni Hunter's Gob. So I guess we're moving into physical, or at least defensive.
So we went mages, now we're going to defensive.
So what's going on with defense?
We're not going alphabetical, we're going to themes.
I know, we do that on these patches
Just
sometimes.
some slight changes. We wanted to be careful with the support items. We didn't want any big overhauls because of the Conquest changes impacting them so heavily.
Yep.
Okay.
So we just looked at it for a couple items that were just either really unpopular or weak or overpowered and just make some adjustments.
So Oni Hunter's Gob's on your screen already. Increased damage mitigation per stack from 2% to 3%.
Make it a bit more impactful.
It's getting like slowly better and better and better and better.
Gold, by the way.
Just keep pushing that.
It's free.
Yeah.
Midgardian Mail is the next on the list too. Increased cost from 2250 to
Oni Hunters is going to be so good.
So 50 gold more. Decreased the movement speed slow, attack speed slow from 10% to 8% per stack. So still the same amount of stacks, just a little bit toned down.
Yeah, it was a bit strong even when you weren't building it as a counter, and as a counter it was very strong. Just toning it down to be a bit more balanced for its goals.
Okay.
Good.
After that, we move on to some attack speed items by the looks of it, or like assassin-ish items. Is that what I should be looking at here? Silver Branch Bow, increased attack speed buff duration from 3 seconds to 6 seconds. Toxic Blade, increase attack speed from 20% to 30%.
Oh,
Stone Cutting Sword, decreased cost from 2,600 to 2,500 gold. Poison Star,
Blade.
decreased damage reduction from 20% to 15%. Oh, so that took a bit of a hit.
Yep, that's been really popular, especially in pro play.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, people consider that item to be very strong.
So it's going to take do a little bit less on that. Wind Demon, we're going to decrease the cost of this item, I guess, to try and bring it in line with Poison Star a bit more as well. 2,800 to 27.
It was
Also
also
not
just pretty outclassed by Deathbringer and Malice.
Yep.
Malice, although being the less popular one, is very strong. So is Deathbringer.
Spectral Armor, after that, increased damage taken from crits from 50%. Increased damage taken from crits.
The wording is because it decreases it from 100 to 50.
Yeah.
Right.
So now we're increasing the 50 to 60. So it's worded in a weird way, but essentially means it's a nerf. It doesn't protect you as much from crits.
Spectral, here's how you write this, guys. I'll just say it for you. Spectral Armor, 10% less effective.
No, that's confusing.
No, that's not even true.
Literally
it's
what it
20%
is.
less.
Well,
actually,
literally what it is.
20%
That would
less
be
effective.
5% in some people's interpretation of that.
And maybe Spectral...
Warrior's Blessing!
Maybe Spectral's not written perfectly, but there was a lot of confusion when we first made this passive.
Yeah.
Everybody being like, wait, what happens if I've got Deathbringer? And so I rewrote it a bunch of times.
Shots fired.
It's
Maybe I'll do
just
it again.
not
Nice
as
one,
good.
pun.
Yes, not as good.
Warrior's Blessing.
Also
next
not
up.
as good.
Decreased health from 100 to 75. Decreased heal and mana restore on trigger from 40 to 30. So taking a bit of a health, and you're getting some regen anyway, still in the blue buff still, right?
Yeah.
Still less, though.
It's still less though. But overall, when we first put it out, people thought it was a little bit weak. We buffed it, and then people kind of realized, wait, no, it was actually really, really good.
Sure.
And that caused a lot of these solo lanes to become these boxing fights, but that didn't ever really result in anything.
Yeah,
so we're bringing it down a little bit in health,
lot.
bringing it a little bit down in the sustain, making it so those trades are a little bit more meaningful. Also potentially opening up the pool for other things to go in that lane and be a bit more effective.
More aggression in the solo lane. Just a couple themes we've been going through.
Or just build the new tank mask and be super tanky instead, you know?
Buffs to in-hand
More
assassins,
aggression.
basic attack assassins, some equalizing of crit, and watching out for counter items, just having their counters be just way too good.
And I know we went through those notes really quickly because we're trying to make sure that
we
actually
gotta keep
this in
moving.
a
I was
reasonable
gonna
time.
do this,
keep
but
moving.
we
We're
can-
already
We have
late.
dev commentary.
more stuff to go.
It's all on the patch
Don't
notes.
worry.
You
We're
can
not
read
done
it.
Very
yet.
well written out.
Shift the shield. Moving on, because these guys want to keep complaining about this show taking long, and they're like, I'm so sorry it's taking so long. Shut up and let me do it.
All right, go, go,
Shift
go.
the shield.
Let's go.
2,500 gold down to 2,400 gold.
Nice.
Looking for more aggression in the solo, and
a
we
good
just
item,
talked
try
about that. Sunder, reduced cooldown. Was 140,
Nice.
now 110. Is that the only right?
About time Thunder was
Yeah, we
really
really
dead.
feel really good about relics right
Yeah?
now. Really good.
Okay.
There's a lot of counterplay. There's a couple that are really popular, you know, beads, Aegis, Sprint, Shell, etc. But there's a lot of good ones that are just very situational and very good when you need them. Sunder was the real one that felt really weak. Even Bracer I've been doing still gets a lot of use, a lot of fun in casual games. People do really aggressive dive strats. It's really cool. But Sunder wasn't really so good, so we want to be careful with this one. We know how strong it can be. We've been there. So just a cooldown nerf to make it feel better.
All right, that's your item changes for 5.13. We got a little bit of a...
Woo!
You
Quite a
got
few.
lost during this.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That
You got-
graphic's fun.
I
Yeah.
love this graphic.
This is... there-
helps.
By the way, we did a lot of changes for items, if you couldn't tell. Plenty of buffs, plenty of nerfs, plenty of shifts, and some new masks that we're going to get a chance to test out on the PTS. Please test those on the PTS. That does it for items. What, that's it? I know, I can't believe
Can I just request one thing from the mask, by the way, when you all go and test them? Put your Twitter avatar as your favorite mask, or the one you think's most OP, and just so I can see the variety of complaints. Because I'm expecting all three of them are going to get
They are
out
really
now.
nice icons. Although
They
we're still
are.
working
Yeah,
on
good.
the Rangdas one. That one's getting some updates, but
Cool.
Yep.
So I guess we did items, so that means we get to do gods now,
Gods,
right?
gods,
Let's
gods.
do.
And we're starting off strong.
Let's start off strong with a bit of a rework here. Bakasura. It's Tears that I just. Did you change that to F dot?
F dot was very involved in the rework, and we made sure that we got his approval.
He hates Bakasura. Let's go.
He's still skeptical. But, skeptical. It's hard when your god gets reworked. Can I say a quick thing about reworks before we go into it?
Please do.
I just want to make him. I want to make it known that our goals and our strategies with reworks are different than they were in the past. We don't want reworks to feel.
Come on, just give me the change.
The god anymore. We've done this on a lot of gods recently, Xibalanque, Zhongqi, and Guan Yu, where we've made really targeted, big changes, but that really keep the kit as close as it can be. So we're trying to look for key problems in the gods. And
is the key problem.
Bring them back and give them more interest without
give him something on the 2. Interaction with gods, some way.
In the past.
Don't execute.
You may disagree with this Freya rework as far as following that line of logic, but that's really what we're going for.
Well, you took all my thunder. It was gonna be a big reveal that it was a Freya rework. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I guess Freya rework.
Sorry.
Yeah, just do it. I guess.
So the big thing here
Wait,
is
what?
the 1 and the 2. The passive is going to now be Mystic Warrior, and it will be when you use your melee attacks, you will restore a big chunk of your mana, 6% of your maximum mana for every basic attack melee that you do. When you do range attacks, it's only 2% of your max health restored. So kind of that lifesteal passive you had before, but there's a very clear theme of melee versus range here that we're trying to focus on.
Okay. So what's going on? How do you do ranged versus melee?
So that's the 2. That's actually Aurora Blade is now it's the replacement for Pulse. So when you use this ability, you will actually toggle between ranged and melee attacks. When you put a skill point in, you'll start getting bonus damage on your melees and bonus damage on your range attacks. The melee ones just deal more damage, and again, they restore your mana. The ranged ones are now actually pass through until God. So Izanami type projectiles, you can now actually have that on the wave as you deal damage. So you can toggle that on, but it takes a huge amount of mana per swing. I think at the max rank, it's 58 mana per shot.
Okay.
So you can kind of see here, when you activate that, you can actually choose when you want to range attack as freely as you want. Before you had to like pop the stim, and you could only deal the damage during the stim, and then you felt kind of like weak before. Now you can pop this, use the range attacks when you want to, and then you can also turn them off and restore your mana with your melee attacks.
And I thought this was some Bakasura rework, and I get this.
It's always been Pulse and Irradiate together. So what's the deal with the 1 these days?
You got it, Pod. You got it.
Melee A gods, guys. Melee A gods.
This ability is a single attack stim. When you pop it, your next melee or range attack will cause the target that you hit to explode, dealing AoE damage and slowing targets. Yes.
Targets. Okay.
So the big thing here is you can activate the 1 here. You can see the toggling between the 2 and the range attacks and the melee attacks. But the next attack you deal will explode, dealing damage in AoE and slowing anyone in an AoE. So you can use this as a very powerful, just immediate burst on a single target. You can also use this with your 2, and remember how the 2 passes through?
Yes.
If you have your 1 active, it passes through all the targets. You hit them all with that attack. It explodes on every target it passes through.
It doesn't actually pass through, though.
The damage is modified so that ranged base, the explosion on minions is a little bit less, so you're not just immediately blowing up the wave.
Okay.
But it does explode at it. So if someone stands in the mini wave and you see them standing there, pop that 2/1, throw it through the mini wave, and have them explode with all the minions around them.
Oh, Banish is still there, thank God.
And Banish is still there.
Banish is exactly the same, unchanged. And her ultimate is getting a slight damage nerf, actually, just to kind of even out her kit. But core goals with Freya was that she was very binary.
Yes.
She did pretty much nothing, and then she just absolutely shredded you.
Right.
We wanted to give Freya players more control, and also even out that power curve. So now
this is not going to go well.
You can stay hunter mode for a much longer time than you could with Pulse Irradiate before. But you're going to run out of mana eventually, and you'll need to earn it back. But you can also, if you don't want to use the range attacks anymore, you can toggle it back off, and you'll get a much bigger bonus damage on her melee attacks. Her melees hit hard.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So she is so the things that were interesting with us for Freya that we wanted to preserve were that combo feature of her abilities and the synergy, as well as her hybrid style. So she is really like a basic attack assassin mage and a mage ADC jungler, and she could even flex. She has so much ways to play her.
Yeah.
With this
she's gonna restore her mana so easily in jungle where she can just go melee at all times.
Turns out to be her real role.
Right.
But also that players who like Freya will be able to make her work, we think, in a variety of scenarios.
So the two things she technically lost on this is she's no longer got a slow.
She does still have the slow on the detonate.
On the detonate of the 1.
But you can only detonate that once at a time.
Right.
So really,
not consistently slowing the same target over and over.
What we love about this rework too is if you're an old school Freya player and you use the pulse for the single pulse and then switch to Irradiate for the more bonus damage, it'll feel very similar to that because you do the 1-2.
Right.
Your first shot will pulse and slow, and then you follow up with a bunch of regular shots as well.
Okay. Yeah, you can really see whenever the lower third came down there that the mana, you do consume a decent amount of mana, but you get a ton back.
I'm concerned with this, but
this is currently a bug that'll be on PTS, but we'll
sorry about the green screen, by the way. It's a bit sunny. I can't
really
do anything about it.
Mana. It'll actually be max. So you saw there that every swing was actually restoring 35 mana. You can see going up to like 42 mana. Like you restore a lot per melee hit, but it does take a lot to actually cast.
And this
those
design allowed us to buff her melee damage a lot. Like her melee damage hits much harder than her ranged, which is just a cool application of Freya.
Jungle Freya?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jungle Freya.
Yeah. Back here.
But also, I mean, ADC Freya, even maybe mid lane Freya.
Yeah, really, really exciting. Okay, so the banish stays the same. Slight nerf on damage to Valkyrie's discretion. That gets a decreased damage per blast. Was 100 to 240, now 80 to 220.
I don't know, all the AA gods, so
5% scaling per shot, so 20% if you hit all of them.
Unless that's true and I'm just misunderstanding it.
Let's be real, Valkyrie's discretion is nuts as is. So the real changes here, 1 and 2 get changed.
Could only be Kalino.
2 is now a toggle melee / range, but you can leave it on, but it drains your mana per shot. The 1 has the slow on it and will also boost that wave clear up a little bit.
Yep.
And single fire. So yeah, this is our big rework for the patch. Freya has been historically very difficult to balance.
Yes.
Not she baited so hard.
She doesn't have ways we can tweak her, but in ways where when
I got teased that we when I have an AA god change,
she takes over.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it would be Bakasura or Kali or Arachne.
Down lately, so we just wanted
nope, it wasn't an assassin after all.
Bring her back and make her more exciting. So hopefully people find this fun.
I for one welcome our new Freya Overlord. I mean that's fine by
with
me.
those demonic grip buffs and
ring buffs were recent, by the way.
They did.
I wonder what that timing was about.
Yeah, Tuckhine's demonic.
So we got another pretty big change, but not quite as dramatic as Freya.
Some mini reworks.
Yeah, exactly. Bakasura getting a really exciting change in my mind. Now Takedown. By the way, this ability has always reduced protections of those you hit by it. It's just like one of those things that everyone doesn't really seem to recognize about this ability. That's his 1, the leap. Now it will just cause everyone to take more damage whenever they're landed upon. 10% more.
From all sources. And so this actually has both implications
but
for your
the one was fine.
Healers, but your Butcher's Blade true damage will actually now be augmented by it. Which is just kind of that's kind of the theme of a lot of the changes we did to Bakasura here was rather than like rework abilities, we took existing parts of his kit, tried to increase the synergy between all the different abilities.
Hey Pon, didn't you used to play a lot of Freya jungle back in the day?
I did.
And hey, Pon, didn't you play a lot of Bakasura back in the day?
Yes, I did.
Oh, when's the Zeus buff coming, huh?
Hey, look. Mages took over for a little bit. I can have my time.
So that Zeus meme is
a fan of these like fringier gods that are not usually considered meta are often not as popular. So that's why they're getting changed.
This is the Pon stuff buff.
I'm super excited for this. This is like my favorite thing. This was going to
be insane. Eat minion also getting a buff. Decrease the post-fire animation time from 0.7 to 0.2.
About time.
Wow, that's half a second.
That's a lot. But also this little indicator right here that shows you who can be eaten at any given time. This will make those who might not play as much Bakasura as Pon does have much more success with this.
As a more normal, average Bakasura player, I've been really appreciating this in our playtests. As you are killing those buff camps, that blue jaws.
Oh, and I thought it was multiple targets.
Yeah, before you'd have to like check, like, okay, can I eat this big camp now? No. Okay, I'll hit one more time. Can I eat it now? Okay, now I can.
A little bit easier there for you. Okay, and then Regurgitate. This is my favorite one.
Oh my god.
Okay. So increase the projectile speed from 80
also
to 120.
very good,
Let's
actually.
Just move past that because Bakasura
but I wish that
may
something
now
good
choose to eat his own minion pets from this ability.
So let me get this right.
Yes.
He eats something. He vomits.
Okay, never mind.
Just like
yes, that's extremely good because then you get the passive again.
Neptune eats the Krabby Patty for the first time. That was so good. I think I'll
take everything back. I'm happy.
that is this change.
Yeah.
You should have saved that for a tweet, man. You
I went from very disappointed to very happy.
Now no one can take it from me. I've already claimed it. Alrighty, so that's the Bakasura change.
That is extremely strong.
I just want to point out why a lot of these changes are happening. One of the big things he brings is like the ability to actually really pressure early on and
ult and
once
use it
for the minions. He actually has to start diving into the enemy team. He's very vulnerable. And part of that comes down to he doesn't contribute as much damage to help his team, but also when he ults, he becomes a single target that you can focus. He loses his passive if he's in a team fight away from minions. He also loses the protection that he could have if he's not by minions, and so that makes his ability to actually fight very binary. And so by actually having control to be able to either eat a minion to get your passive back up again, or eat a minion to get the protection protection and heal, so you can keep fighting, really helps Bakasura actually play in those late game fights.
Nice.
Okay,
I got double baited. I thought it was no Bakasura because
Next
Freya
up,
first.
Aquatic.
But it's Bakasura and it's actually really good. I'm really, really happy. Thank you.
Undead Surge.
I'm
will
sorry for
increase the
complaining.
zombies
I didn't say
thrown
anything.
From 1-1 to 2-2. Basically, the first 2 points, you only threw 1 zombie. Now at all ranks, you will throw.
Whoa.
I having to put 3 points in that at the start of the game so I can get 2.
That is actually really
It
good.
changes the targeter size, which causes people to miss and like clip walls with it and stuff like that. So it was an interesting concept, but we're just gonna smooth that one out.
And then empty the crypts. The ultimate enemies hit by this have 20% healing reduction applied.
What?
That stacks up to 3 times and will last for 5 seconds. Kind of doubling down on his identity.
Whoa,
as an anti-heal mage.
whoa.
I nailed it there.
I needed that the other day.
Projectiles will now also
Nice.
pass. Wait, hold on. Projectiles will now pass through walls.
They used to get
structures
stopped.
And players.
Stuff they would hit would stop them.
Sure.
Those little guys. Now
And-
they just
and-
go through and continue hitting.
And
What?
It'll now persist after.
I actually
that.
like that mechanic though because you can block
Bringing
them
it
off. A push is
A lot of
scary.
people fire off that Opwatch ult. You get, he can get dived on real hard. You fire the ult and you get like 1 tick out of it, and then you're just gone. It feels bad. And there's a lot of abilities that do persist after death. So Opwatch will bring that back.
Yep.
Good luck. Have fun.
Okay.
He rises.
Next batch of changes. These are, we're going to get a bunch of different passive reworks here that we're going to go over. And they all have one theme in common. We are taking crit passives out.
We want to avoid early game, very low percentage chance crit. It just has too much RNG, too much impact on the game. This could be, very fun, interesting feature to a lot of people, especially at the high level pro meta. Getting those Artemis crits randomly.
Oh,
and
hey, I
very
mist that
often
part.
Early game
Empty crypt
causes the whole
persists
match to
after he dies.
swing.
Right.
When really you're not doing anything right or wrong. It just happens.
Exactly.
So we want these gods to still have good synergy with crit builds if you want to go that way. But we're we're keeping. It's okay for us, we think, to have crit on true ability stims like Neja's stim and like Jingwei's explosive bolts. But the passives that just give it to you for free at like level 1 are being reworked.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start with Artemis. You mentioned her.
130, 160%.
Still Target is the name of her new passive. Her basic attacks will now deal 30% more damage to enemy minions and 10% more to enemy gods who are CC'd by anything. So she will really set herself up for great success with Caledonian Boar, suppress the insulin as a slow.
Especially that trap.
Yeah,
that's a
the
long
trap.
CC.
So you're still going to get crushed by Artemis.
So 115% scaling on her basics while you're in the trap, and those crits will double that.
My favorite thing is the name change of that ability.
Actually, the name is the same.
Name is the same.
It was always
actually
called
just
still.
super works well.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I had some stupid Artemis name probably knowing it.
No, that was actually it the whole time. We thought that was especially.
Oh, wow.
And shout outs to Pro Feedback on that one too.
I actually didn't know what it was called. Like, it was something
Shout outs to
stupid,
Pro
but
Feedback
now
on
it's
this. I'm
been
sure
used.
they helped a lot.
Still Target. You mentioned Naja as well. Naja has crit in his passive. Will now have
No,
a
he
new
doesn't.
passive. He
Still has
not
crit in
anymore.
his stim, but not in his passive.
That's right. Buff stacks will now no longer provide critical strike chance from Righteous Spirit, his passive. Instead, these buff stacks will provide 0.5% movement speed and 1 physical power per stack. So if you aren't a big Naja player, you can get up to 20 stacks from that passive. So you can get a significant amount of movement speed and power.
Yeah, and this also works well with the ultimate that has good scaling. When it crits and you can apply mouse to it as well, it really helps.
It actually does more. It's actually stronger through that.
You can still crit with that. So you still have the ability to crit even with
just with the ult because you don't need the crit chance for it.
Early RNG of being able to, like, you're clearing a jungle camp, you're clearing speed, and you do the 4th hit, and all of a sudden it crits and you blow up the camp. Your clear speed just infinitely went up. That doesn't happen as much anymore.
But you do get 20 free power.
I see it as a strong buff to Naja and his overall consistency. It's going to be better for his abilities, better for his lane poke when he rotates him with the rings.
Better solo Naja as well.
I mean, it's not like Naja's been tearing it up recently, right? I mean,
he's had some popularity amongst the pros and relatively weak across the board for the average player.
Yeah, just because Sino's playing it doesn't mean that everyone's playing Erlong jungle either. You know what I mean? Like, there are the Naja specialists out there, but this will help out all of us pleb Najas on the battlefield. Hunbats, he's got a crit passive, so now he's got a different passive. Infused Strikes, now this buff now has no duration. Instead, it will remain until he successfully hits a target. It will no longer provide that 30% crit chance. Instead, this will now cause Hunbats' next basic attack to deal 20% more damage.
Oh, Lord.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you're getting
Hydras.
mini crits, but they're a little bit...
And then that amount can be included in the crit.
Wait,
right,
what?
so just like a Hydra's passive.
Yeah, so it will double.
He basically has Hydra's passive.
Instead of from 100 to
How
200,
does it scale with
it'll go
Hydras
from
now?
120 to 240.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
So it literally is just Hydra's passive.
Yeah.
As a passive.
Lots of increased consistency. Still having that playstyle.
Trends Hydra spots.
The kind of Hydras and his passive encouraged. Still works well with crit builds as a whole. Pretty good changes.
Encouraging in-hand cancels and weaving in basics between derbies, which is really fun.
I mean, that was encouraged before with the crit as well.
A couple extra changes.
That didn't change
just the passive
at all.
Overhead smash. No longer affected by directional movement penalties while this ability is firing.
That's
so
LP.
Speedy monkey.
Whoa.
He can juke around now.
Yeah, he can juke around.
It's like Chunga.
Oh my god.
Fear no evil.
I'm juking when I smash.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Fear no evil. Moving on. Fear no
Whoa.
evil, making it a little bit easier to deploy.
Whoa.
So you don't have to worry.
This is
and
my
I wouldn't
patch.
recommend it most of the time.
Hunbats and
But the problem was
Bakasura.
there was some, if you're in a tighter spot of the jungle and you don't want to get blocked by like random blocking volumes that are just right near you and stuff like that, we want to make sure when you blink
I think you can do like the mobility mask as well, the 20%
Robin
CDR.
is getting a pretty big shift. He doesn't have any crit in his passive. We're past that point.
Look at that line.
What?
But hey, he's an assassin now.
Well, they wanted an assassin, guys, so you gave him one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we gave you Achilles, and so you
No, that means no assassin forever after the next one.
Achilles.
Oh, I'm actually upset about
There was an
this.
assassin coming. Pele's an assassin so soon.
Okay.
But yeah, Robin
No
is an assassin.
assassin for another
Clearly
year.
Players were playing him like one.
Yes.
Much more often than Warrior.
Yes.
Solo lane Robin we haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
Years.
The god has had a lot of adjustments, so we figured we'd go all the way, finish him up, make him a real true assassin. So that's a slew of base stat changes. You're gonna read them all? It's a lot.
Yeah, I guess I kind of have to because sort of decreased HP, base HP, loses 50 base HP. He loses some HP per level, loses some base HP 5. Increase the HP 5 per level though, because that is in line with how assassins usually are in relation to how warriors are. You decrease the base MP5 by a little bit, also decrease the MP5 per level by a little bit. This is the bigger ones. Decrease base physical protection from 16 down to 13. Doesn't seem like a lot, but you'll feel it. Increase the basic attack power from 35 to 39, so that it will help him with his jungle clear. Increase the basic attack power per level from 2 to 2.2, and increase the attack speed per level from 1 to 1.7. So that's actually a pretty big one.
He's almost could be played as a basic attack assassin,
and
especially with his ability to protect himself. It could be really good.
Chains are not like that
Especially
anymore.
with his passive, which also got a change. Didn't have any crit trends in it, but the shield didn't feel quite as warrior-y. Wanted to give a change there, I suppose.
Yes.
So first of all, you'll now gain stacks from structures, just a little bit of a quality of life change there. But you gain stacks per target hit as well, so that'll help out when you're clearing jungle camps and things
and
of that nature.
when you rotate through the wave.
Yep.
And bonus 3% movement speed per stack while the shield is active. So still has the shield. Go up to 9% potentially. More about getting him around the jungle and making him feel like a true assassin even a little bit more.
That's what a lot of these changes are for.
Jesus.
It's not just base stats that make a character an assassin or warrior, but slight tweaks to the ability also help make that work.
To mention, I also play a decent amount of Robin.
That's the 3. Increase the physical power.
We buff our mana now and
to 70%. You were already building damage, Robin. It's going to feel a little bit better now. Overhead kick. This one, a bit of a shift was, the cooldown was 20, and it would scale down 2 seconds per rank down to 12 seconds. Now it will be 18, scaling down to 14. So a lot of pro Robins had started to level the 2 right after Prana Onslaught, the 1 to get that decreased cooldown. That strategy is a little bit worse now, but you can you can afford to level your 3 and not have that 20-second base cooldown.
Yep.
Boy, this patch.
Robin for you.
So basically, he's now got assassin stats, so he's going to kill you quicker, but he should die quicker.
Yes, in like one of the fights we had, like he was noticeably squishier.
Right. Okay.
So a little bit more traditional to what you would expect out of your jungle selection. Also, for me, I would always just be like, all right, I'm jungling. What do I want?
He's gonna stomp so hard on low levels,
totally
though.
forget about Robin, and then I'm like, oh, Robin would have been perfect.
No. High-risk.
Here. That is a personal buff.
And you will see him now in the assassin tab, and it feels a little weird the first time. But
yeah, I bet. All right,
it'll get there.
You'll get used to it. We got used to seeing Nemesis there, I suppose.
Yep.
Anubis is next up on the list. Nothing major.
Boy, even as old remains
couple
unchanged
mana
with the
cost
extra
reductions. Plague of Locust, decreasing mana
ability.
cost. It was 60 to 100. Now will be 60 to 80, so just bringing it off the top end. Grasping Hands, that was 70 to 110, will now be 70 to 90, also just off the top end. Anubis, I mean, those mana costs are really,
110.
Yeah, they were very high. So just some updating there. And now we're into the we don't have as many themes to the upcoming balance. This is more general God balance now.
Right.
So that was all the big stuff. Now we're going to God balance.
Well, let's move on then to Baron Samedi.
He's been pretty good, actually.
You missed a huge one for Apollo.
Oh,
Graham.
You
sure did.
Ultimate description.
Fix the ultimate description. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Fixed an old description.
Thank you.
We're happy
Come on,
now?
guys.
Yes.
Cool. Baron
get through
Samedi.
this.
He's been a bit strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was really strong. We nerfed him. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're going to nerf him again.
Okay, here's the nerfs. Hysteria.
Not too surprised.
A skill that appears to show a player is affected by hysteria has now been offset to help players see while affected. Good, because that was
move that
really
over to
annoying.
the side.
Vivid Gaze, damage decreased. It was 80 to 280. It's now going to be 60 to 240. And the scaling's going down on this as well from 70% to 60%. After that, Consigned Spirits, where decreased the heal. It was plus 15% of a target's missing health. It's now going to be 12%.
Still very good.
Wrap it up as well.
That's it for the 2. The 2 is getting better and better and better compared to the 1.
Ramp to root.
Yes.
The ramp up to root is considered a root for all CC immunity purposes, and if it is cleansed, it will result in the full root not applying. Decrease the damage over time and hysteria AoE duration from 4 seconds to
Chronos get something similar then?
to match the ramp to root effects.
Ramp to stun.
This causes the overall damage this ability does to go from 80 to 336 is now going to be 50 to 210. But the actual power percent bonus, it was 40%, going to be 25% as well. So
solid nerf.
Nerfs in different areas here. Heals coming down.
Yes.
The classification of
he's going to be taken down a
bit easier to distinguish.
Decent notch.
Anything, Chronos.
Chronos will also be on this.
He's on here.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's ramped to stun.
Gotcha.
So we were getting a lot of confusion with like, it's a slow and a root. Is it a slow or a root? It's like, it's kind of weird, but really the whole intent behind the design was it is a root that builds up. And they're like, what's the percent of the slow? And I'm like, it's not. It builds up to a root. It gets stronger over time. And so
that
we
buffs
did this on
Chronos.
both Baron and Chronos. They count as just a root or a stun. And they work consistently across immunities.
So as it's
you cannot
ramping up,
immune Chronos stun anymore.
Now saying that I can feeds that as it's ramping and it won't affect.
Yeah, it'll cleanse the whole thing.
But being slow, anything changing slows will not affect these abilities anymore.
Right. Now,
which they already weren't. If you actually had Wingblade and Chronos hit you,
so this
you
is more
weren't
of
actually immune.
More of a description clarity than actual design change.
I thought it removed the
roots
slow
in
initially.
particular have a this is a much more higher level question. They are calculated differently for diminishing returns. They only classify against each other in that category.
But they Magi's cleansed it right away.
Root duration because of the DR.
It's the way it's kind of done in the back end is we actually have category codes that kind of describe things and how they work. It is a root.
It's a root.
Okay.
So the end root can be reduced if you've been previously rooted, but it shouldn't be reducing itself.
Yeah.
It's just one root.
Cool.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, that's
also on the balance side of things. We didn't actually talk about that too much. The focus for him was he's more of a kind of this utility mage that brings a lot of effects to his team. He has the heal, he has the movement speed cleanse, he has the CC he can bring. The hysteria stacking has a lot of impact. And a lot of that was getting overshadowed by just the amount of damage he was dealing. So we're toning down the base damage on the 1, toning down the base damage of the 3, which actually did contribute quite a bit of damage.
Oh, yeah.
I think people kind of underestimated how much it was dealing.
Yeah.
And also making it so that that area that occurs now matches the actual ramp to root effects. That'll also make it so that the AoE duration that people can be hit by the snake is also reduced.
That's cool.
So just toning down a few aspects of his kit to really also highlight on different aspects, mainly the hysteria benefits he provides.
We're gonna make him a utility mage, no matter how hard we have to.
We'll do it.
but surely.
We'll get there.
we will get
We will say the word utility and mean it.
Thank you.
Chunga is next up on the list, and Chunga is going to get 2 changes. Crossing Moon Dance is going to go from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. In
I didn't know Chunga was doing well.
Waxing Moon decreased ult damage. It was 160
too many
to 460.
pro games lately, I guess.
It's going to be 160 to 420. Hey, Blaze.
She's just really gotten strong lately, popular in pro meta, just making some slight nerfs, normal stuff, not trying to change her identity or anything crazy here, just toning her down.
Okay, and yeah, she's been seeing a lot of it, so that makes a lot of sense. Chronos next up. It's very similar to what we just talked about with Wrap It Up. Stop time, change slow to stun to a new CC term, ramp to stun.
Yep.
The ramp up to stun is considered a stun for all CC immunity purposes. And if it is cleansed, it will result in the full stun for not applied.
And
Also
this
means
has
spiritual
slight rule
procs
change.
immediately.
The biggest clear case
Not
of it
only
is like
Magi's.
Regenvive Magi's. Before, if you were hit by it, you would actually slow to a halt, and then when the stun would try and apply, that's when Magi's would get cleansed. Now it actually cleanses immediately.
So Magis will be consumed immediately.
As if you were hit by a stun immediately.
Yeah,
So it's actually a
because-
good buff for those in that way as well, because they can get rid of those Magis without having to wait for it to be effective.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
should just be more clear all around.
Yep.
After that, then it's on to Cupid.
Oh, this is exciting.
This one's fun.
Change the
Oh.
nice now. Increased camera height
Nice.
from 36 to 64 to give Cupid players a more consistent camera angle compared to other gods.
Yeah, we have a lot of gods who are taller than each other and can see further, but we don't have a lot of gods who are actually shorter.
Right.
Like,
Scylla and Cupid, right?
and I think like even Ratatoskr though,
Yeah,
he was made sure that he was the same camera height as normal assassins, even though
Gotcha.
he's shorter.
Gotcha.
So we bumped up Cupid just to make him feel a little better.
Is that back to like every other hunter's sort of level?
Yeah, the
or-
camera angle should now be the same as like Apollo, the average height hunter.
Okay.
But Zeus and Sylvanas and stuff, gods like that, still have higher ones, but we'd want to avoid these lower ones. If Scylla is lower too, I will take a look at that.
For the average player, why is there a big difference between camera height there? For people that don't really understand it, why are we doing that? What's the intention?
So part of it is just feels, right? When you're actually that low to the ground, you can often lose the ability to see the kind of the overview of a fight.
Right.
If a whole bunch of abilities are being thrown, you just don't get that feel.
I knew this was gonna be long. I didn't know it was gonna be this long.
There's a few really high level areas where like you might be able to see around a wall. If you're like Sylvanas, which has a very high camera height, you might be able to see
we get it. Move on.
Those are so limited and
just
doesn't even require characters that are like 64 height.
I think
really just to get Cuba to see the fight a bit more clearly.
I think a lot of people will go into the game and maybe panic, going, "Why is it like this? This feels really awkward." But there's reason.
It's pretty subtle too. I don't think people will notice a huge change. So.
Hades is next up, and this is a buff to Blight.
Really
now has a debuff effect that lowers the target's magical or physical power by 5%.
Wow.
So once you're effective with 5% less damage.
Yeah, so this one's funny. People have been asking for this forever, but we didn't want to do it. And we didn't do it because Hades could remove Blight. So it was weird to have like a debuff effect that then Hades would then cleanse.
But now he can't get rid of it.
So now he can't, because we've changed Hades' kit a few times to make Blight just stack and detonate and stuff like that without being removed. So now we can put an effect on it. So since he's a close target AoE mage, we want him to be able to protect himself a little bit more, so he's going to debuff his opponent's damage output.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, only 5 gods left to go.
Oh.
Kali.
I'm sad we're almost done though.
Passive assist bonus increase. Increase heal on assist from 15% to 20%.
Nice.
Actually for Kali there, just in terms of that. Kukulkan, we're buffing him on top of these items. You guys are going to make me play him all the time now.
He has been really suffering in the stats lately, guys.
Well, he's not going to be suffering after this patch, I'll tell you that.
We'll see. People always say that, but he's not exactly a pro meta god.
Slipstream, first of all, then for Kukulkan. Increase movement speed from 40 to 80%. It's going to be 60 to 80%.
Fair.
And Spirit of the Nine Winds, decrease cooldown from 80 seconds to 70 seconds.
Yep.
Okay.
Slipstream getting a nice level 1 buff.
Hell yeah.
And then
get your juke shoes on.
Yeah.
The ultimate's it's so well telegraphed.
I'm normal cooldown, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
Almost.
Not quite.
Almost.
Not quite. Getting there.
It's nearly there.
Yeah, it is. Well, it ranks, depending on the rank.
Rama, after that, Astral Barrage fix. Brighten Targeter. Add the new FX element on his body to convey shots left.
So
that's
total time and ult.
It's sorry, that's weird. On his targeter now has been updated. That's really it. It's a targeter update. So the ground targeter is brighter. It's easier to see the timer. It's easier to see in a fight. Cool. And it has orbs floating over it to show how many shots you have left.
Oh, okay, that's
it's
nice.
and it has a little height to it, which gives you even better depth perception. So just quality of life, no buff, just a feels thing. So I guess we'll find out, when Marvel starts playing if he likes it or not, if it's a good change. But we think people will like it.
Well, if Marvel doesn't like it, then we got to ship it back.
I guess so.
I don't think Marvel's was playing it as well.
The only person who plays Rama.
It's got to be how it's got to be.
False, but yeah.
Second to last god on the list is going to be Sir Ket. Catalyst, decrease the 3 poison consumed damage from 25% max HP to 20% of the max HP. Deathbane, fix an issue where enemies would hit only 1 time, even though 2 area targeters collided with them. This ability's targeter has been updated to better show the areas where the ability hits.
Yes.
Oh,
so when you actually look at it here,
this looks cool.
The hit area has not changed at all. This is actually the hit area.
Right.
And it just now actually conveys the hit area.
Right.
That's
interesting.
That definitely looks better than before.
It's always been like that. Trust us.
Yeah.
But the problem was this targeter is really hard to convey because of the way it morphs.
Right.
So we used really simple line art just to kind of show the zigzag. But it wasn't very accurate. So what we did is we added this extra layer over it. And like I said, because of the way it
looks so
morphs
cool
and
though. I
shifts,
like it. Just running around with it would be cool.
But the effects team did a really good job of making it really fit our design needs.
Yeah.
So this is the only fixes being that sometimes you could zigzag through people. If you were right on the edge of the zigzag, it would only hit once, even though she clearly did 2 of the hits. So now we changed it to make that hit more consistently, and we show the area the way it's actually been hitting all of this time.
Perfect. So a little bit clearer.
Yeah, so some clarity buff for her, really, but then 2 numerical nerfs.
And here's the other numerical nerf, by the way. Last Breath decreased from 210 to 690 is now going to be 200 to 640.
Yep.
Nice. This as well now. So
fair.
Small nerf in the early game, bit more of a nerf in the late game to the base damage there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, largely targeting the tank kind of builds where you had the more tanky build and you could just deal a lot of damage.
Right.
If she still builds offensive, she's going to chunk you really hard, but these flat values that were just not scaling off anything, a little bit toned down.
And last, for the summer patches.
Oh, I'm sad that it's over, but
the last god on this list is Zhonghui nerfs.
Also not surprised.
I think they both nerfs good. Demon Bag. The protections on the passive, reduced protections, they used to be 1 per stack. It's going to be 0.8 per stack. So does that work out at top end then? Is that just...
It's 10 off the top.
10 off the top, so 30 total, and then doubled to 60.
And that will affect, that will affect the way his ultimate works as well.
Book of Demons, his stun, it's going to get a bit of a reduction. It was freaking long anyway. It was 0.7 up to 1.1. It's going to be 0.6.
Should change the animation anyways.
Obviously, that can double in duration.
It's still annoying.
Applied, and I think that's why.
So we had just buffed that, but we went back to a place in between.
That's fair.
Which we do a lot. And it often works out well when that's the case. So we were really surprised at actually how much Zhonghui shot up in the stats. In both popularity, surprisingly, and performance. So, yeah.
Well, the one last thing to really show you then is the graphic at the end of all that.
A little bit less crazy than the item was.
That's just gods, by the way. Just
nice.
a little breakdown of what's going on there.
This is a great mid-season patch.
I want to see a combined one now.
Yeah, just bring them all together, the items and the gods.
I think
Where are you going to put the matchmaking changes, though?
We should have a graphic that just says matchmaking changes, and that's it. You know, a lot of quality of life. The bug fix list is really exciting. Trust me, when you get that patch notes out later today, they're really long, so they're taking us time to write, so they'll be out a little later after the show.
Sure.
But we should gotta make like a breakdown version where it's like super short, I think, as well, along with the normal version.
Old school requests.
Yes.
Really hard to solve. Like those things they weren't procrastinated on. They're really hard to solve. That's what took us so long. Like, so Stu really got over here and has been doing a lot of work with me to make sure we find these really impactful changes.
Well, that's your balance and all that kind of stuff for the mid-season patch, but we still got to go through those new skins we've got, and we've also got a lot of cool information waiting for you from La Tigris and Isaiah over at the desk.
Thanks, Aggro. As he said, La Tigris here with Hi-Rez. Isaiah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good. That's a lot to digest.
I know.
A huge patch.
So many changes. It's super exciting, and they didn't even get a chance to go through it all. There's like so much stuff.
Which is why it's great we have all the information through social media and stuff that you can check up on later. And we have a couple updates here. It gives you a bit of a chance to digest all the information that was just thrown at you. First off, on the esports side, not many announcements, but really action-packed. First of all, the 21st and 22nd is our console LAN coming up. You looking forward to having all those teams here?
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited. Love watching the Xbox boys go at it, and it's super exciting every time they come to the skill shot for the LANs.
I must say, there's some of the most vibrant personalities as well, so it's great having that energy here in the studio. And then if you want any more information on esports, our Esports Weekly segment on Monday will be our LAN preview show. So not just covering console, but all the PC content to come up afterwards. So that's esports side, what we got on community.
On the community side, just a couple things. The first thing, I wanted to touch on something that we didn't get a chance for AJ and Pond to cover. For the mid-season update, we have a really exciting change for our console players, speaking of console. I'm happy to announce in 5.13 we will be introducing a mini-map editor. So console players will now have the ability to adjust the position of the mini-map, its scale, and its opacity, which is really exciting.
I know a lot of people have been asking for this for ages.
The whole customizable experience on console. I love when we're bringing.
Gotta get the whole thing, but at least that's very cool.
Speaking of new features and new parties, this weekend is a party up weekend. So call your friends.
Not nice.
Get excited
Please
about
no.
the new mid-season update. Get your gods ready to practice up. As long as you're playing in a party of 2 or more, you'll be able to earn 2 times worshippers, favor, and XP this weekend.
Nice. Do you have some go-to party members that you normally play
I've
with?
definitely got some go-to party members.
I'll play PTS anyways.
We play console all the time. So I've definitely got my squad ready for this weekend.
So what does it take to become a part of your squad for
just
the
hit
party?
me up on Twitter. I'm always looking for people to play with. So hit me up on Twitter if you're on Xbox, PS4. Hit me up. We'll play some games.
You heard it there
That's right.
first, folks. What else we got?
All right. Last but not least, we had a ton of stuff announced just now for the mid-season update. Tons of item changes, balance changes for gods, as well as including features like matchmaking and all new player behavior features. So I just want to remind you guys that your participation on PTS is super important for us to be able to find issues early. That way we fix issues. And I'm happy to announce that for PTS, we'll actually be running an event to where if you play on PTS, you'll have the opportunity to earn gems on your live account. So the event will work similar to our Gemstorm events. If you win games on PTS, you'll be able to earn gems on your live account. And we'll have details posted later today.
You're telling me you can try everything out that you just heard about and then also earn gems while doing it?
That's right.
I think that's a pretty done deal. But a lot of cool stuff coming on the community and esports side. We know that you're looking forward to the skins that we have on lock, and Aggro is right on by with that, so let's go take a look.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, back on the casual set. I got rid of those other losers. I didn't need them. anymore.
Just show us the skins. Patch notes are long enough.
Nice. They're not losers.
Please.
Graham's the loser is what I'm trying to say. Instead, I've got some cool people here to help me talk about these skins. It's Ben and it's John joining me here on the casual set. First of all, guys, thank you for joining me here.
Never heard
John,
of either
this
of
is your
them.
first time on the Patch Notes show. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm John Wynn, and I'm the lead animator on Smite.
Lead animator. So we got the king coming through.
John, all he does is win.
All he does is win. That's
the
it.
middle name.
He can't stop winning.
It's in the name, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. Well, let's get right into it then. Well, let's start with Plushie Ganesh. We got a chance to see this right off the rip here at the update show, and I've been waiting to see the in-game effects.
It is so fluffy.
And I truly,
oh, look at these Anami in the back. What the?
This is one of my favorite skins.
Chucky style.
This is, you know, we've got our
like
fair share of badass skins in this patch, but this one kind of there to lighten the mood.
It's soft and it's cozy, man. Warm and fuzzy. It's definitely a different take than what we usually do, but we thought it'd be appropriate that he gets something friendly. He's a friendly guy, you know.
I just want to snuggle him like he's made out of yarn. It looks so comfortable. Different sort of material that really gave it a lot of texture.
I wonder what they do with the pillows.
It's just like kind of like a cloth look to it, basically. I'm not getting into the technicals, but
sure,
yeah,
fair
the
enough.
way the lighting works and stuff, it's very felt, very.
No way!
Great job on it. Actually, together. It feels really
Okay, that is
I mean,
that is so good. I didn't even think that
this
is a possibility.
That's so good.
And he sounds friendly too.
Yeah, it sounds very friendly. Also, I see here that this is the same voice actor as the base Ganesh.
That's right.
So it adds into that sort
Oh
of.
god, the
Ganesh is one
yarn
of those
ball
guys
is
that
so good.
Everyone always says they love the voice pack. They love.
Wait, they did not change the
idea and how it's.
Oh, I didn't change the ult that much.
There's his ultimate. The Dharmic pillars. This one, it looks really, really good. Oh, they all fall apart.
Little pillows.
Yeah,
The way they fall apart is
pillars,
cool.
like they crumble, you know, like rocks and stuff. But these, they kind of fall apart, like just like a tower pillows.
Yeah, it's a little pillow fort there for you as we slow it down so you can see just how Ganesh constructed his.
It's all velvety too.
Couldn't even tell that it was
Classy
supposed to be
too,
pillows
man.
at first.
Very nice.
Pillowers.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you guys got it.
I like
Good
that.
try.
Yeah, fair enough. Believe he has a VXG to show off. Let's take a look at that.
There we go.
What?
Yeah, making it fun.
Okay, this skin is
stuff,
it's fantastic
This
actually.
was done by one of our animators, Brock.
What?
Did an
Even
excellent job. He kind of strikes these poses as you're moving in certain directions. Yeah, it's just fun stuff.
So you get a different jump based on what direction you're moving at the time?
Yeah, so if you go forward, back, left, and right, those are the jumping animations, and
Okay.
the other directions, you just roll, you know.
So cool. This is potentially the best VXG.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That is
Wow.
incredible. That animation work, just amazing.
this skin
Let's
is
take a listen to the voice
great.
back
He doesn't need a
for
tier 5
Plushie
anymore. He's got
Ganesh.
this now.
You are so special. That was amazing. I'm the cutest. Don't be mean. Be kind. You are so special. Are balloon animals as smart as plushies? No. They are airheads.
I think I'll play with the default voice pack though.
That's Tina right
She
there.
was adorable.
I like the default voice pack too much.
Plushie Ganesh coming to you in the mid-season update here in 5.13. I'm excited. That's all I have to say.
Makes
about
you
that.
feel warm and fuzzy.
It really does. Like, even when my dual lane's getting bodied, I'll just look into the eyes of this Plushie Ganesh and be like,
I don't want to hit him.
Yeah.
I don't want to hit him. I'll hug him.
It's
You know,
going to be okay.
He just ganks you and then he rolls away.
Yeah, see you later. Oh, man, that's going to be so troll. I'm so excited about this skin. All right, Hellscape Chronos is next on the list. This one is part of the Divine Uprising event. You can get this as part of your way to complete the Voodoo section of the Divine Uprising. That'll earn you the Half-Life Baron Somdi skin towards the back end, which we will be going over shortly. This one, the very opposite of what we just saw on the Plushie Ganesh. This one is spooky.
Yeah, this is a throwback to Chuck times.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
We made sure he was checking it out as we were doing it and be like, you approve of this, right?
Yeah, enough skulls here
Yeah,
and everything
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah, perfect.
Not them memeing him, even though they always said it wasn't his
He's
job.
got some really cool skins. I mean, between this one,
Like
and
his responsibility.
the kind of digital one.
Yeah.
The one.
Oh,
where
it's
you
kind of
get
hard
the
to see some of the
silver
stances
jacket.
though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The beast one, classy.
Yeah, that one's really, really cool. You got
Okay, look at the arm, the glaive.
Just it looks those trails look a little bit darker on the
attacks. Yeah, everything's just a tie into that dark theme. Like his fur has this less dark kind of edge to it, and then goes into a red. So we try to tie out a lot of that into the effects.
That looks
the effects
nasty.
team killed it on this one, where
like in a good way.
The brambles now are like spikes.
Oh yeah, like do not want to get stuck in that. That's for sure. Really well defined along the area, but there's plenty of spikes there.
There's a little bit of there's a goat in there.
Yeah. Wait, in the 2?
No, you'll see.
Okay. All right, we'll see. Well, I think this might be where we see. Oh, they're so evil but cute at the same time.
They got the little weird goat eyes, man. It's creepy.
Eyes with the
Wait,
horns
goat eyes are so scary.
Yeah,
Wait, they actually have those?
They got them, man.
I don't want them. I don't. Take them back. I don't. No, not the scary goat eyes.
Camera work right here. There.
Oh, there they are.
God.
They're so spooky. I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't at the same time.
They're
you know
cute,
what I mean.
though, man. You know.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that anymore. I'm lost on the cuteness factor. There. Love the little the pentagram that comes out.
Yeah. Keeping with the demonic theme. Yeah.
And
that is
this is something that I've been talking about a lot when it comes to these skins, and we can kind of quiet down to let you hear it. But the bass effect on the ultimate, like
I'm gonna turn this up a little bit so you can hear.
Just sounds so meaty. You know what I mean? Here, let's take a listen. Yeah, I'm all about that kind of stuff. I love that sort of effect. All right, let's take a listen to the voice pack here.
Yeah,
for Hellscape Chronos.
Very well done. That was substantial. I am the goat. I am the goat. You will be consumed by terror. Oh, I love playing devil's advocate.
I actually like the goat pun. Greatest of all time.
You all call yourselves the goat, but in reality, I am the one true goat.
There it is.
Styling on him.
I love it. The VEG is the I'm the goat, but then he goes in depth. Like that's not enough. He needs to
explains it to you.
Right. He needs to drive that point home to you that he is indeed the goat. Well, someone's got to take care of the goat, and that job might fall to Nightbane Jingwei, kind of the counterpart here. I think it feels like to this Chronos skin. Most Jingwei skins, they're fluffy. They're
this is
fun,
my favorite
Jingwei
skin now.
Pool party. She's at a rock, a punk concert, but she's still like having a good time.
Not this
she
chibi
looks
vibe.
Like she
looks old as well.
Here with this one.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do with this one. She has a lot of like fun stuff. We want to do something a little more serious this time, and with the
wish I could play it up.
we do something like that there. Maybe we should try that with a little more Demon Hunter-esque kind of feeling character for this one.
Oh wow, she looks still like more young-ish in game.
Hunter.
Yeah, the current Hunter. Exactly. Yeah. That's what it looks like to me. The wings, kind of.
They got one with an older face.
I'm thinking of the demon skin that Jingwei has. Not quite as feathery. A little bit more, still fluffy and fun.
Yeah.
This is like just some
almost
badass
like Raven wings.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the texture that it has as well. Everything, a ton of detail in this skin here.
Yeah, there's a lot of ornate kind of like trims to everything. We really wanted to feel like
the projectile looks nice
witch
too.
hunter is where we were trying to go with it. So a lot of those kind of like shapes that kind of go in line with that.
Definitely.
And the
lost the pigtails.
crossbow.
Kind of have the hood on, very serious in tone. Even her crossbow is different now. They got more like moving parts on it. And stuff like
more of an
ammo,
oomph when it shoots.
Counters on the bottom.
Oh, nice. Yeah, excited to see how that works. And I love this persistent gust.
Oh.
Just like, it looks, even though the gust itself is moving faster.
This makes Jing so much cooler.
It's true, like,
the effects and everything as well.
The explosive bolts, getting a little bit of fire action. That's what you need to slay beasts.
That's right, man. Absolutely.
Some fiery bolts there. Yeah, I love that. I love that little color scheme. And look at the effect underneath her whenever she dashes.
Little ground effects with the
get the movement speed thing over her.
Yeah, this is my favorite one for her right now.
She's like super fast and annoying to catch.
Here's airstrike.
Oh, that's sick.
The distinct hits of the airstrike itself. Very, very cool there.
I like it.
From Jingwei. I love it.
Don't like the voice back though. It's so squeaky still.
Nice one, hotshot. Phenomenal.
Oh, it's quiet.
This is why they pay me. Nice one, hotshot. Phenomenal. I'm going to cash in all of the bounties after today. Didn't you know? It's open season for witch hunting. The more vampires sparkle, the easier they are for me to hunt.
So she's still having fun.
Yeah.
I was hoping she got like a
It's
dark
also
voice,
more
like
business, you know what I mean?
It's a job. You know?
Sylvanas kind of style.
Yeah, exactly. She's out here making money. I respect the grind.
This is like an older version of her, right? Still keeping that fun narrative, but she's now like 10 years older than she was before. Or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like the little backstory there, Ben. Tina's not here to provide it, so I like.
Tina really wants us to be like
headcanon.
she just goes and hunts monsters and stuff and gets the bounties, like very typical kind of thing like that. I think we followed through pretty good.
Perfect.
The look
All
of the
right.
character.
Cherry Bomb Soul next up on the list. This is the first Soul skin where she's not just some sort of corporeal.
Oh yeah.
That's the cool part of it.
Not a monster is a little harsh, I suppose,
Yeah.
but being.
Yeah.
This is the first one where she's really looking human.
Yep.
almost.
Her real self.
Yeah. This is her humanized version of Soul. She's got a lot of, I'm guessing, pyro effects here. Just
Yeah.
based
So
on it?
the trick with her
Every
was
time they
she's
go in on
like,
the skin, every time.
And fire is the case there. So we want to be like a pyro, like technic kind of person, Or
Yeah.
pyro.
Is this a special mode though? Because I didn't know that. I've never seen this.
So basically, you can control fire and stuff like that, but kind of like she's still a person,
Okay. So she's got just some crazy powers going on. Looks
Yeah.
like she's got some tattoos as well. That can,
Yes. So the tats are like she's kind of like a punk kind of chick,
Yeah.
And whenever she starts doing the abilities, they'll flare up.
Oh, that's
as she
cool.
does Stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they start glowing. She got the flame boots that kind of help.
Oh, she
propel
had the
her.
bomb.
That's kinda how she
Wait,
controls
I thought it was
the
the Scotty that was gonna have that.
fly.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got flame boots, then that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like
course.
whatever, everyone has those. Has
Oh.
ooh, that like really that's very dark for a soul skin. But that's a really cool little effect.
So two like that
Yeah,
too?
you can see the hands are starting to glow, much like the regular version, but it has a bit of a different feel to it with this human form.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. There's the
Oh, it's
Stellar
stars.
Burst.
huh?
Has it the little,
little punk star?
effect? Yeah,
Yeah.
punk star. Yeah, she's all about the scene, man. And I can respect that. I can respect.
I grow
that.
all
Very
the respect
fiery.
today. Oh wow.
That is
Okay.
really fiery there with the tattoo.
I actually like the skin more than I thought it would.
On her
Yeah, I
back.
thought it was
That's
just gonna be like a fan service-y kind of skin, but the
You
effects
caught
are really
that.
nice too.
Good eye, man.
Man, what-
You've been
what
doing
The
this for a
eagle
while.
eye.
What can't I do on this Patch No show? Let me tell you. Let's take a look at the ultimate Supernova.
Yeah, that looks like
Ooh, very.
the normal
very
one, just a
cool.
little bit darker.
Looking good there. Again, the audio effects can really dig how
Yeah.
that
You
distinctive
feel
hits.
each impact. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very much so.
You can always
let's
see
take
each
a
impact,
look,
can't you?
let's take a look at the voice pack here for Cherry Bomb Soul.
Wow, you are amazing. That was so hot. Just look at me. Loki's my sugar daddy. Fight me.
What?
Judging from way over there.
What is that?
Face. The only difference between a good girl and a bad
Very
girl
edgy.
is that good girls are more selective with who they're bad with. I look at boyfriends the same way I look at tattoos. I want one, but I can't decide what I want, and I don't want to be stuck with one I'm just gonna grow to hate and have to have surgically removed later. You know.
Yeah, I know.
She's telling you her life story.
Yeah, I
Some
appreciate
history
that.
here. Where that came from.
So
I,
edgy.
Good for her and Loki. I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
Wishing the best of luck.
Congratulations, I suppose, to those two. Pup Patrol Cerberus is next up on the list, and man,
Hey,
I'm
there he
so
is.
stoked for this skin. It's so
Hey, look at
cute.
the Samdi in the park
It's
down the
so
side.
cute. If you thought we were done with the cute skins after the Ganesh, well, we like it was
This
cute,
is
and then we brought
definitely
it to badass, and now we're back to
one
cute
of the
again.
best skins.
Now with Pup Patrol Cerberus. This
Is the
you know,
goodest
we
boy.
usually get notes here on what to talk about. My first bullet point for this one is speaks for itself, and I would
That's it.
tend
Speaks
to
for
agree.
itself.
It's just cute, man. You got the little snack up there.
A
You see
little
him?
happy snack.
Oh, look at him.
He's so cute. He's
good.
like, he's so happy.
That was the hardest part. Was like doing the dog like in a nice puppy way that's like stylized and friendly. That was easy. How do you integrate a snake that doesn't look hideous and creepy into that? That's the trick here.
Well, I think you nailed it. That is a happy-looking snake.
Yeah,
He's
I think
just
originally we tried to make the tail another dog head, and that
Yeah.
was just weird.
Yeah.
It just
There was
got too
a
weird.
sock puppet was another idea we tried to do,
Okay.
but
okay.
Many.
yeah, it just didn't feel right.
Oh, look, the
Feel
colors
like,
light up.
It certainly has worked out with what you guys.
Yes.
wanted.
No,
It's
what good
happy
is that?
A little bit. The happy effects even.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the
Oh,
skin
the
is so.
panting on the ghastly
Yeah.
breath. Is that what I just heard?
A little house, a little painting.
I-
So wait until you see it.
It's so cute.
Wait, I'm turning this up just so you can hear it.
Here's his
a big
leap.
paw print. Yeah.
No, a little paw print there wherever he lands. Just everything is like so light, but it also has a little bit of a heftiness to it. I mean, Cerberus is a big
dude,
a big good boy. Hold on, what was? I want to listen to that. So he is a very energetic.
I got near the first one. The second was like, I'm gonna get it.
Yes. If you have any experience,
he's a little pupper.
Being around young dogs, this is truly how they would like, just out of control, can't control how excited they are about anything. That's what Pup Patrol Cerberus is for us here. He's got a VXG, so gotta check that out.
This is gonna be good.
This is John's.
One of the best ones. There you go. So this was one. This one was made by our artist Tori Clark.
Oh no!
We were just kind of brainstorming, and what can this dog do, right? And
oh no!
Like, okay, you know what? Butt scoot.
Go with that. Scoot. Man, I'll tell you what. I gotta give a shout out. This reminds one of my best friend's dogs. We call her Pup. She just butt scoots everywhere. She's like old. She's super old. It's still just butt scoots.
Usually indicating that the dog's sick.
That reminds me. This
just throwing this out there.
I see that the collars got a little bit brighter whenever he activates the heads.
We didn't want to have like, you know, in the original Cerberus, there's like these energy things that are on his neck that gave it to tell for where things are at.
Right.
We wanted to do something a little more tasteful and didn't like look like crazy coming out of this fluffy dog. So we figured we'd just highlight those kind of elements.
That is so cool. Yeah, and it even like changes color. It's not just a highlight, but it gives it some more effects. Does the bow tie normally have those polka dots, or does those only come?
They're there.
Okay, they do.
Just change up.
Yeah, they're a little bit. They're a little bit softer there.
Wait, I'll turn up the audio again, so maybe he uses it too.
Take a listen to his voice pack.
Nope.
Oh my god.
Or we can do this. This is fine too. I'm down with this too. Just zooming around the map. And this makes me sad that I can't do that in my real games.
I'll be your best friend. Amazing! Amazing! Oh, who's a good boy? I'm a good boy! Oh, who's a good boy? I'm a good boy!
Yes, you are.
No, I'd be there first! How come I lick people, but they never lick me back? I just want to be loved.
Snake laugh.
The snake laugh. It's like doing a little dance there as we head right back to the butt scoots.
A bit too crazy. The voice pack.
Sorry, we have to move on eventually from Pup Patrol Cerberus because.
But the skin is good.
Is next. This skin. I mean, if you follow Enna on Twitter, one of the premier artists here at High Res Studios.
Oh yeah, she's
been messing with this sort of concept for a while now. This is the first skin from it. This is such a cool little aesthetic for him.
Oh yeah, I think when I think it was just like a fan art thing.
Yeah,
it was for fun, you know. And it was like people loved it so much. We're like, oh, we gotta do a whole line of these. So this is the first one of that, and
those shoes are clean, my guy.
Yeah, man.
Oh, he's fresh.
He's styling on him.
He
man,
really is. I could take a couple fashion notes from this.
Do you see the book right there? Anna also did that. It's like an actual comic book that she
drew.
No
and
way.
If you see the inside of the pages or actual pages from the comic that Anna wrote.
Oh, that's so cool.
So. Yeah.
This is the Enna Thoth skin for you guys at home, and
all proceeds go to Enna.
Yeah, I'm sure she wishes, but I don't know if that's how that works. Certainly should though. Did a bunch of great work on it. Something about on her there is about the comic book. Is Geek Beak Thoth. It has a little the little brick effects. He's always in the city. You know, he can't take the city out of the Thoth.
Talking to the wow.
Works. Hieroglyphic assault.
Oh, he's so hipster.
These are like the usual hieroglyphic assault skins. It's like very big and orby, but these are very clean, dictated,
clean geometric shapes. Yeah.
Super trendy.
It's trendy.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Check out my tag. It's a coffee shop window.
Oh no,
that's so smart.
Oh no,
man! Like sometimes I feel like I've got good skin ideas, and then I see the real skin ideas, and I'm like, I'm hopeless. Yeah. I'm never gonna be able to match this.
It's always great seeing like the effects artists kind of finding something thematic with the skin all being made, right?
Yeah, the little lamp.
The little lamps. Yeah. Gives it some 3D texture. Oh man, that is so cool.
I hope this voice is. I don't know if this is gonna be loud enough. He's like whispering, "Chill out."
That's so good.
It has to be really loud for it to work in the competitive.
By the way, too. He's definitely been working on the frame. You know
what
I mean?
Oh yeah.
chill out, man. At the coffee shop.
He's got the tightest clothes.
With the tightest clothes. He's eating at the freshest restaurants.
Yep.
I mean, got the best suspenders and everything.
Starbeaks, you know?
You already know he's hanging out with the hottest dudes. Like, he definitely is hanging out with those hottest dudes. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here.
Yeah, you're cool. Amazing, truly. I'm so hip. Yeet! Yeet!
Is that almost a yeet?
A yeet?
That is close. That is dangerously close to yeet territory.
You look like you shop at a chain store. What? You never seen a messenger bag before? Why am I even playing this? This game isn't in beta anymore.
Wow.
Oh, this coffee is gross. Let me guess. You didn't use filtered water that was heated to exactly 164 degrees, did you? Also, some spare tray.
Okay, so he looks cool, but he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah. Well, a little contrast.
He knows
Don't judge
what he
a book
wants.
by its
Yeah,
cover.
all right, fair enough, fair enough. He knows what he likes. Yeah, we'll give him that credit.
Very frou-frou.
Very, very, very much. That's Geek Beak Thoth. Again, shout outs to Enna. This skin is dope. Speaking of dope skins, we've got another one for you. They just keep coming here on the update show. Half-Life Baron Somdia. I mentioned this one earlier, that you get this skin by completing the Voodoo portion of the Divine Uprising event. And oh no, you have to complete an event that gives you a ton of insanely good skins that are really cool. I'm so sorry for you guys at home. This is your reward.
Wow, that was
we kind of
interesting tone right there.
Over today, but Soul has a skin that reminds me of this one, the Meltdown Soul. Same sort of texture here.
Yeah, so that was the inspiration with this.
Still don't have Meltdown.
We like to look him, but we like.
But the new Soul skin is pretty cool anyway.
The negative shapes of his skin, you know, with the we have the cool, you know, skeleton.
And there's still
paint.
Yeah.
What can we do to make that
Epsilon
work?
one.
Oh, you know what'd be dope? That Soul Meltdown look, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a radioactive kind of feel to him, you know?
Yep.
You got the two snakes up there that are affected by that.
Yeah.
Yep, the radiation got to them. You know, you sprouted.
Oh, that's why it's too radiation.
Yeah, exactly. That's really. I love that idea. A little bit of a weird sort of skin here for Baron that fits him very, very nicely. The two snakes together. Still, the effectiveness of just.
Oh, that looks. Sound.
That sound effect on the death gaze.
Can I make louder?
Very cool. A little bit. This is gonna sound weird. It sounds like moist almost. Like yeah. It's like you got that
Moist
radioactive
laser.
goo.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Right away.
Pyrocynical.
By the way, a little bit of a change for Baron if you just missed it. The goo based area. A little bit to the side. Not
Critical
quite on
someday,
top
I
of
mean.
you anymore.
Ooh.
Oh, that is so
The
cool.
atom bomb.
Yeah.
That is so cool. This is going to heal up your teammates, of course, as Consigned Spirits is a pretty good ability. The atom bomb going to everyone.
That's cool.
That's so dope.
This some of this animation makes the ability more clear, like when it's gonna hit, like
Wrap
due
it
to the
up,
drop,
you throw
which is
your
really nice.
two-headed snake, and they get wrapped up by. It should wrap up faster because there's two heads. You know what I mean? They should be able to work together.
Yeah.
Still don't wrap faster.
See what they do with it.
Oh, you just start going pay to win. Just, you know.
More snake heads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the ultimate. Oh, that little
like
box
New chamber. Yeah.
is so cool. Okay? I don't want to be stuck in like the crypt, the whatever it's called, the coffin that he has in his regular skin. I definitely don't want to be stuck in this radioactive chamber that he has here.
It's like a hyperbaric chamber thing. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's like
what he's got to go in there after every battle to kind of get that, you know, to stay alive still, you know?
Oh, that is so cool. I'm just biased. I think Baron is like the coolest god we've done in so long.
He's real cool. Yeah.
And then this like makes it even better.
And we gave him a modern style too. He still has that same kind of dapper look to him.
It still fits his
but it's not as dapper as the other one. Yeah.
Being dapper.
Very much so.
Got his little cane and his flask.
Little flask.
Yeah.
Always high class for Baron every single time. We've got a VXG.
All the snakes. All the snakes.
He surfs on the tank is what it says here.
It's another one. Yeah, another VXG.
But the VXGs are always the best. This was Baron's original ultimate idea?
Yeah, so when Baron was being made for the first time, his ultimate, he was supposed to surf on the coffin, and then that's how he pulls enemies in. And then that he locks you into the coffin. But that kind of changed, so this was a throwback to the original design.
Oh, that's really cool.
I wish that VXG was for all skins actually on the coffin.
You know what I mean? Like,
making the ground all messed up.
Our animator Jersey, they did a great job on this. He's kind of like, you know, touching the radioactive wakes that are kind of kicking up there.
Man, that is. I mean, you see that coming at you, and you're like, I'm in some serious trouble. This man is all sorts of messed up that he's riding.
Luckily, he's slow.
Nuclear like coffin.
Yep.
So serious that he jumps up and hits you with the style.
Yeah, exactly. Then he still styles on you anyways. after that. This one really, really cool. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Half-Life Baron.
I may have a place for you. Terrific! I am become death, destroyer of worlds.
Fitting. First nuclear bomb.
What a waste.
Oh, that's a really cool animation there. It's so very similar to his base version overall. In fact, can I see the back animation? I want to see if is it the same as what he's got on the default skin? It is. This is like my favorite thing about playing Baron. Every time I back, I'm like, damn, I look good doing it. Yeah.
You did the animation for that, right?
I did do that one. Yeah.
That is truly, not kidding, John, one of my favorite animations in the entire game.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to work on. Yeah.
It just makes me feel so good every single time I do it. Again, you can get Half-Life Baron by completing the Divine Uprising, the Voodoo portion of the Divine Uprising event. Again, if you're kind of losing track of what the Divine Uprising is all about, you're going to get a chance to get a Tier 5
I have not forgotten about the Bologna skin. Thank you. I have not forgotten. Don't worry.
At the end as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here. That does it for our skins section. Yeah. And that basically does it for our update, or for the mid-season update show in general. This is a huge update. We always have a lot of fun with these mid-season. Thanks for joining us in this lengthy update show. And as Isaiah mentioned on the desk, make sure you get out and play on that PTS. We do very much value your feedback there. Again, there's a little bit of an event going on where you can earn gems by completing PTS games. Those gems will go to your live account, so you can actually use them to buy some of these amazing skins that you're going to be coming out in 5.13. Thanks so much for watching. Stick around. We've got some PS4 qualifiers coming your way after a short break. See you later.
Right, we'll take this short break to end it here and not have the PS4 qualifiers after that. I think we've watched long enough, 2 hours. So, my verdict of the patch, this is the patch that Smite needed. A lot of this is obviously still, you know, depending on how well it works in the end. Like, a lot of it is just gonna be cool in theory until we know it actually works. There's a lot of things that are probably going to be broken, especially in the item section, and some guard changes that will need adjustments, but I don't really mind them much. You know, I'd rather have, you know, some changes, some guards coming back, things being moved around, and then things getting nerfed again and being put into a place of balance than nothing happening at all. And I'd rather see a lot of changes, and we have seen that with this mid-season patch, absolutely, like, all across the board. Like, so many game modes changed, so many guards changed, so many items changed, so many everything changed. So, I'm just going to turn off this this window capture now. That would open everything else. We'll stay on this screen for a bit. Sorry about the background thing that got a little bit too sunny in the later run. Again, I'm also going to do a summarized version later on down the road. Will still be long, but, you know, I'll be talking about it a little bit more briefly. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I am super happy with this. This is my patch. This is the patch that is, I think, going to get a lot of people back to Smite. And going to get me playing more personally as well, I think. So... Thank you for the follow, I will. I hope to see you all for the next one later. If you're new to the channel, please hit the sub button and maybe the bell. It really helps me out. DukeSloth out.